Meanwhile, there's been, have you noticed in the press, there's been advertisements for units in a particular historical building with antennas on it.
Oh, yes, the Herald Sun building, yes.
That's right. Bit above my price range.
I think they'd be a bit above most people's price range. But yes, if you could tap into those tenors on the roof, you get
You could possibly sell your place and you might just be able to afford a one-bedroom unit near the basement.
Yes, it'd be better to have one up near the tenors tower than you could shunt feed it.
Well, don't worry about the unit. Just take over the little. There's a little box on the roof.
Well, I don't know what happened when the newspaper and 3DB moved out of that building. Not that long. Well, I suppose it's long ago now, but the mitters were still there, and they couldn't get anyone to want to buy it or move it out. So I think it was probably dumped or wrecked and pulled out. But there was a little booth up there with 500 watt mitters. Would have been very nice, just ready to go. You just change it to 160 and you would have had a nice top-loaded Marconi tenors radiating from the centre of the city. It would have been very good indeed.
Yes, so is the booth still there?
I'm not sure. Up until recently the actual T antenna was still there and it came down to a little booth. I think, last time I looked, I think they've actually removed the wire. They're just two towers. So they've obviously probably removed the booth and the tenors and their matching unit as well. But yeah, it would have been very nice indeed, emitters to use.
Oh, I don't know if its coverage would have been particularly good on 160.
Oh, I think it would have been pretty good. I mean, it would have been close to a quarter wavelength. Would have been, basically pretty good tenors.
But I think something in a bog in Werribee would be better.
Oh, it would be, but that would have covered the inner city area very well.
True, where it's very noisy, and it could have provided a relay station, provide infill coverage.
Well, that's right. When the missions used
all those people in their South Bank apartments, you'd be better off with a microwave thing pointed straight at them. Yeah,
when the AM stations moved out of the central city area, 50 years ago or something, although they were running less power and had less efficient antennas on top of the city buildings, the effect was that the signals in the cities was not as strong as the ones from Werribee or Heidelberg. So obviously, the inverse square law, the distance law, does make a difference.
Oh, so there's transmitters in Heidelberg, are there?
Oh, most of the AM emitters are in Heidelberg.
Oh, I thought they were the ABC. Or where are they? Not Essendon. Niddry, Strathmore, somewhere around there, aren't they?
In the west, yeah, that's the ABC. Sydenham's the name of the place.
Oh yes, well there's now, of course, a railway station there and a big shopping centre.
All the AM stations apart from
MP.
693 and MP are out at Heidelberg.
Okay, whereabouts?
If you look in the Melways, you'll see it. It's being progressively built out, but what they've done recently, they've actually rationalised it, and several of the stations have actually combined and are using combiners.
Okay, so it would be West Heidelberg, wouldn't it? Rivers and lots of green stuff in east.
Yeah, it's not really the I would have thought the swamps at Werribee would have been better, but they've been out there a long time, and it's the if you go out there, you can see these big poles spiking up. It's not far from the Watsonia military barracks, actually, in that sort of area. The stations have actually combined their resources and have one booth and an antenna and a couple of transmitters at different frequencies going into the antenna.
So if you have a natural disaster, then they cannot be your emergency services station.
Well,
if that affects one of them, although that's of course the ABC.
Well, the ABC has two emitters into the same tenors, so they've got a big diplexer unit there. When they ran the emitters from the town, because they used to all run from the town, the Herald Sun from the Herald Sun building and AW from the city there, and also KZ was on top of the Trades Hall building. Yes, so it was all very interesting.
I imagine it would have been quite difficult on people's crystal sets out in the country areas.
At one stage, stations used to run less power and there's less stations. Just things have changed, I suppose, with the increase of the number of stations and people expecting better service. The power went up and people got better signal strengths, but then more stations came on, there's more interference, so I suppose it all...
There's more noise. That's the most important thing, particularly, imagine people in South Bank apartments and trying to pick up AM.
I think they're probably AM's a dead loss for a lot of those people, unless they put the receivers near the window.
Well, that's right, particularly if they're on the lower floors. And in, any of the big shopping centres as well.
Yeah, it's a bit sad, really, but that's...
And of course, various digital methods of transmission on the AM frequencies wouldn't necessarily improve it.
No. If you were getting, I suppose, a noisy but consistent signal, the digital may remove the noise, but of course if you're getting...
Maybe for half the time, and then you'd be left with blanks.
Well, that's right.
So it'd be even more frustrating.
I think until these systems are actually up and running, and you can actually tell exactly how they work, it's going to be very interesting to test them practically. They might work very well in the lab and field tests, but as most things, when they start to be used in a practical manner, that's when you really find out the problems involved.
Yes, there's been some discussion on the various news groups about digital TV.
Ah, yes, DTV.
On the electronics group, but that's
right.
degenerated. That's no better. That's degenerated quite considerably.
Seems like all the news groups have gone downhill.
They have. Yes, there's one called Melb.General. That's gone downhill in the last month.
It's interesting. Maybe people have just left them, and just the rat bags are in charge and carrying on.
That's probably true. It's they're the last refuge of the socially dysfunctional.
Yeah, that's right. I suppose most of these more modern forum type things, web-based stuff, tend to be moderated, so they can't really carry on there like they do on the Usenet.
Oh, that's correct, because on one hand it's sad because it's transferring, it's less of a free-for-all, but then it shows that people cannot behave with a free-for-all, so they have to introduce a degree of authoritarianism through private message boards.
Yeah, it's a pity that, but people just seem to be, a lot of people want, if they get in charge of a email service, I'll just put out a lot of bilge and rubbish, just add to the noise without, and people just seem to love flaming and spamming and the whole lot. It seems to be just a natural trait people like to do. And it's okay arguing the toss, about an issue, but it always gets down to the personal, doesn't it? And just people just rubbishing everybody and throwing all these insults in. It's got nothing to do with the actual topic at all.
Yes, like with the broadcast one, of course it's a bit confusing that there seems to be multiple people posting under one particular name, and so I've got to a point where I just don't read posts from that particular one.
The whole group, or just some
No,
people?
No, there's one particular, I think it's the name of a search engine, but there seems to be multiple people posting multiple messages under that name.
Oh, yes, I've seen that, right.
So you can't actually track who is who, and there's just so many of them, so I just don't read them.
I think a lot of it's to do, we have discussed this before, the people being anonymous. If you actually put your, your name or your call sign or something to one of these groups, obviously you're not going to be too stupid, same as people on the air. I mean, you might, if it's your, if people can track you down, it means you're going to be a bit more sensible. Although that doesn't exactly follow through. Some people have identified do some pretty stupid things on the Usenet.
Yes, like of course you've got yes, I think you know what I mean. But there's like on the broadcast one, like it's okay if they stick to one particular name, like Listener or Bear Cave or whatever. But if they are multiple people using, say, a name for I think it's a search engine or something, then it's really confusing.
It is, yes. You really don't know who's going to come up. Yeah, because normally by the name of the writer, you've got some idea of the flavour.
It doesn't have to be genuine. It can just be something that they just use all the time.
That's right, and you've got some idea of continuity of what sort of posts those people are going to put down. I don't know how many groups there are, 50,000 or something. Most of them are just spam. In fact, some of them you look at as just every 100%
they've been
spam.
Completely abandoned, like an overgrown paddock.
That's right, and they're still there, and all they are...
Abandoned to all the reeds and the vermin and whatever.
Yeah. Don't they ever cancel them or something?
I don't know, because I believe you have to go through a fairly formal process of getting a news group going, but then from there they seem to just cut them adrift. And when they're cut adrift, presumably there's no mechanism of cancelling them.
Yeah, some of them haven't had a proper post for several years. Some of them I used to look at years back, and I've gone back to them, and they're just hopeless. There's spam, just totally full of it.
Well, I haven't looked at, there's one called alt.radio.pirate and those sorts of things. I don't know if that's still going.
Yeah, the software's a bit easy to use.
Not that people know about them still, because you still have to actually do a conscious thing. Once you get the shiny computer home, you still have to type in a name, so you have to know the name of the news group to actually search it.
Yes, you can search news groups through Google, which is very useful though.
Yeah, but people actually have to know that they exist and have a rough idea.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand what they are. I suppose people have been introduced to computers in the last 5 years or something, have no idea. Because that was when I first came on the net, that's all there was, news groups.
And email and news groups, and if you had a web server, it was half the time it was broken down.
How long have you had a website up?
Since 97.
Right, okay. Mine, I'm going to organise a special birthday. It's almost 10 years old.
Almost 10. Mine's this year. In fact, it was early March this year, so it turned 8.
Isn't it amazing? It's so mainstream, and I've had streaming audio on mine for 9 years.
Oh, that was very avant-garde.
Yep. If you look in the file manager, the Yahoo, GeoCities file manager, some of those early audio files are the date of 1996. So I'm keeping those.
Of course, there's some site, I think it's on Google, where you can search these web page archives from back then.
Yes, that's the Internet Archive, which is very good.
But incomplete sometimes.
Sometimes when you search, it can't find many. Then another time you search, it finds a whole lot. It seems to vary. I don't know why it does that. I can only get back to about 1999, but I'm hoping one day I might be able to find one of my first pages and stick that up. It wasn't very good, and there are a lot of spelling mistakes and things, but it would be interesting to find it and see see how it is. I should have really kept a bit of an archive of them anyhow, but I never did. I think I've got some printed out versions on paper of the early ones. But it's quite interesting how mainstream it could become, I suppose. Yeah.
And of course, people are, something that was thought of a curiosity, it is now, I suppose, regarded as a serious media. In fact, there was even some coverage of the possibility that writers of blogs, which of course sometimes contain material that in a print publication might have to say written and authorised by such and such of such and such address. There is some discussion as to whether blogs should be included in those regulations.
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? When a technology starts, it's free for all. Then all of a sudden, all the legal requirements start to crimp its style, and then you just get back to you can't do anything.
Yes, the corporates and the serious people take over from the geeks.
Yep, that's right. I think it's always going to be a bit geeky, because as things progress, they'll just jump onto some other new technology, and it'll take a few years before everyone starts to do something about that.
But really, the concept of a website has been comparatively long-lived. Well, it seems to be like a sort of a basic medium platform thing. Like you've got recordable discs and LPs and CDs. There's a particular format that hasn't changed a great deal. There's been a few things like frames that have come and mostly gone, and tables and other forms of presentation, but it really hasn't changed. People have added sounds and things, but yeah.
Often you go back to a website, and the last addition to it's been 1997 or 1998, so it's just been sitting there. No one's done anything about it, and it's all out of date, and it's just sitting there.
Well, it's no different from a library which has books much older than that.
Well, that's right. One of the servers I was on, which I think I stopped paying for about 5 years ago, it's still there. I've got a link, and that's the
GeoCities one?
Not the GeoCities. That's been, I must admit, that's been a very good service, and I wouldn't complain about it at all, the old GeoCities. It was a web server, and I moved everything across to Optus and GeoCities, and the other one's just been sitting there, but and I have no direct links to it, but some of the search engines go to it.
Page.
Yeah, but it's still there, and all the files, all the audio, the whole lot is still there, even though I haven't paid for it. So obviously, once you stop paying, they couldn't be bothered removing the stuff, and it's just sitting there.
They must enjoy listening to it.
I think they've just forgotten about it, and now it's there. One day, I suppose, I'll have a purge of the system, and it'll all disappear. Or maybe they just don't want to remove it because they don't quite know what they've got, and they might remove something important that someone's paying for.
There's probably some forgotten part of some hard disk on some forgotten computer in some forgotten uni somewhere.
Yeah, something like that. And probably the all the redundant information every week gets backed up and put around and then put back on the thing, so it stays there and doesn't go bad.
And it's probably got all these nondescript files that some system administrator is still paid to look after.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
And considers part of normal corporate responsibility.
I think we were with Aussie Mail, and they got taken over by somebody else, and they got taken over by somebody else. And anyway, we gave them the miss after a while. Oh, that's right, we went broadband. We didn't need it, so that's right. It's still sitting there, which is most interesting indeed. But yeah, as you say, it's really mainstream. It's been around a long time now. It's nothing new. Websites have been around for probably 10 years, maybe 12. Well, they've been around since 1990, thereabouts, but I suppose in the mainstream for probably 15 years.
Well, no, I'd say mainstream from about the mid-90s. So I'd say mainstream for 10 years.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
I first saw it in 94, and that was because I was at uni and the library was getting it, but it really hadn't extended from basically the unis and that sort of thing. I'd say probably mid-90s, like sometime between about 94 and 98.
Yeah, I guess that'd be about right. I'm on this line.
Because a lot of the big corporates would have started, certainly in, say, 97, chances are they probably would have had a website. In 93 or 94, they'd probably say, what's that?
If you compare it to, say, broadcasting started in 1925, thereabouts. So 10 or 12 years into that would have brought you into the sort of, I suppose, the late 1930s when it was well established.
I'd say it would have been well established from about the early 30s, at least with crystal sets.
Yep, I think it probably got, reading some old historical and stuff about it, I think it took off quicker than computers, really.
Oh, definitely, yeah. PCs have been, in the public market from about 75, 80 onwards.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I suppose it took from 80 to, although computer ownership grew, it was probably not until, say, the mid-90s that you'd say that it was fairly ubiquitous, and there was probably one generation of computers that most people had that didn't have the internet, and then the next generation they did. Bad connection.
Yeah, bad connections. Oh, so hardly getting any level out of there.
That's better.
Yeah. Yeah, broadcasting seemed to have took off over 5 or 10 years. I think once they started to be able to transmit sound, and people have started to buy stuff, and it was it certainly took off very quickly.
Although it seemed that with computers they were comparatively expensive to start off, and of course got cheaper. Now, that was also true of electric wireless sets. However, it seemed that that crystal sets, although I suppose the exception would have been the headphones, that crystal sets have been relatively cheap for even, from basically the start. It was the valves that were expensive.
You were able to buy a crystal set, and it was something a hobbyist could build.
I suppose the headphones would have been the difficult part, but, telephones would have been well established, so...
They could steal a headset from earpiece from a telephone.
I don't know how high impedance they were, but because that was really the thing, like the coil would have been easy, I suppose the wire, or I don't know, well, that would have come from some transformer or thing, fencing wire if they were desperate. the crystal, all sorts of things. So there seemed to be a period of about 5 or 10 years where basically anyone could afford a crystal set, but not everyone could afford a valve radio.
People could build their own little crystal set. I suppose messing around with the crystal was a bit of a pain, but
and there are articles in all the newspapers about it.
And the old headphones, the high impedance headphones, are actually quite expensive. I've got some old articles here. So people would have saved up for the headphones and a capacitor, of course, to put across the headphone socket.
And if you had two, that would have been good because you could have shared your listening.
But they used to take it off and you could lend one to, so two people in the household could listen to it.
And if you were really lucky, you could chuck it in a mixing bowl.
Yes, and have loud missions. But the early valves are very expensive. Well, the early transistors were expensive as well. But yeah, I suppose a crystal set, intrinsically, there's not a great deal in it. And something that can be made by hand, and that's why people used to do it, I suppose. Mass-produced radios came into being. They were able to knock them out pretty quickly, and they got cheap, and then people were able to... I think what it is, a bit like computers. At first they were fiddly, and the nerds used to play with them, all the knobs, and had 10 knobs to tune to change the stations.
Oh yeah, the TRF sets. Yeah.
But when you could just buy a black box and turn a knob, volume and tuning, that's when everyone could use it without having to be too worried about making it work.
And they're all interested in the program material instead, and so they read the listener in.
The listener in,
and it stopped being a set constructor.
Well, yeah, that's very similar. I mean, that's been said before. Once computers were out of the hobby stage or the nerd stage, they've just become mainstream now, and everyone uses them.
You've still got your Linux fringes and your networking fringes and fringes of this and that, much like amateur radio.
Well, you always will be people using radio as something special rather than just using it as a medium, I suppose.
So, as far as old stuff goes, I was brought to attention of a couple of sources for things. The Monash Uni second-hand bookshop is very interesting.
Ah, yes.
And it's the only shop, because I think it's in a uni, that although there might be a price like, say, $5 on the book, of course they have to put in GST, so it's $5.50. Unusual, because every other place there is an issue to do with educational books, I think.
Right.
When the GST came in, but I think there's a special exemption for students or something. There was actually a book I was very tempted to buy, but I didn't, called The Technical Guide to Australian CB.
Oh, right, when back in 1975.
77, yes, about $8, and I left it on the shelf. It was near all the motoring books, and it was actually a very well presented specimen, and it was very formally written. It was somewhat unusual for a CB genre book.
I got rid of most of my Electronics Australia to you, I think, but I kept some of the good ones with photographs, and I was thinking of framing them. And there's a good one here. This is where is the darn thing? It's one of the best ones. Just stand by. I'll have a see what date it is. And it's got a picture of these two.
Young girl on the front.
No, it hasn't. It's got. It might be a.
Not Miss CB Breaker Action or something.
No, it's got a motorbike, and there's a guy, and I think there's a female pillion passenger, and the driver, the guy on the motorbike, he's wearing he's got a pirate's hat and a patch over his eye and a pirate's uniform. It's a big article on CB. And there's one here, the new breed colour cameras, and it's got a picture of who was that guy, the singer who died of AIDS? He went to Rio, very well known Australian.
Oh, heaps of singers would have died of AIDS.
Peter Allen, that's right.
And I still call Australia home.
That's right. And he's standing in the surf, in a floral T-shirt.
I should know them because I have certain commonalities in names.
And he's holding this massive camera and this porta pack thing on his side. Looks like it weighs about 100 tons, and he's trying to smile while he's holding this. And this is the new breed of colour cameras and VCRs. You might be able to walk a few feet holding it, otherwise you'd probably collapse. Well,
I saw one of them last week.
What, one of the old ones?
Yep, a porta pack. It's I've mentioned before some years ago, but you'll be glad to hear that a certain second-hand establishment in Huntingdale is still alive and well. Yes, a porta pack video. There are these huge reel-to-reel recorders with speakers on either side, as if they were a home stereo type thing. The speakers were probably about 60 centimetres high and a similar dimensions for the reel-to-reel recorder. So with these big reels and things. There were a couple of them. There were all these old valve radios, most of which the dial mechanisms didn't work. The prices were not unreasonable, actually, and there was some accessory for an 8-track cassette tape thing. Yeah, there's heaps and heaps of stuff at this place in Huntingdale.
After your recommendations, I went along to have a look at that.
It's an odd place, isn't it?
It is an odd place, yeah, and he's got a lot of VCRs and things, and as you say, old camera packs and the whole lot. And the prices, although not super cheap, if you wanted something, it'd be worthwhile going there, I suppose.
Yes, no, I was surprised I was still there.
It must be doing quite well.
But then, apparently Tasmania, which my mum's just got back from another trip down there, apparently, and we missed this on our first trip, a while ago, was that there is, in fact, in the GPO building in Hobart and in buildings in other major towns, there is an institution called The Tip Shop.
And what sort of things do they have?
All the things salvaged from rubbish tips.
That sounds a bit like the Eagle Hawk Recycling Centre.
Oh, I've never been to that.
Yeah, it's out near Bendigo, and they've got a big tip there, and the best of the stuff, someone obviously goes around and puts it out in this it's a massive area. They've got some's undercover, some isn't. But look, you could build a house for almost nothing, just buy this junk, and a lot of electrical stuff, the whole lot, and the prices are very cheap, basically just scrap metal prices. Obviously they finance the tip a bit by just selling off some of the better stuff.
Yes, so if you're a recluse wanting to build a shack or make improvements, then that would be where you'd go.
Oh, you could easily do it. You could build a little shack for about $100.
Oh, you could buy a block of land out somewhere and build something.
Yeah, or just crown land on the river.
You wouldn't lose much, would you?
No, if it had to be bulldozed down every couple of years by the authorities, you just go back to the tip and get a truckload of stuff and start again.
Although I believe there's a certain period, I believe it's in British common law, not adverse possession. There's something, basically, if you've squatted on the land and no one's cleared you off within a certain time, you can basically stay there. There's some arcane provision in British common law.
So you just pick a spot no one ever goes to and build a shack.
That's right, and I believe there is something happened in London to do with that. I think there's a thing called squatters' rights, I think it's commonly referred to, but have to look it up somewhere.
It's very interesting. If you look at those British TV shows, they're always having squatters in buildings.
Oh, they probably have pirate radio stations.
They do too, and it seems that the police can't do anything about them. I know here they just kick squatters out as soon as they come in, or they're usually an old building, they rip the floor out so people can't or don't want to stay there. But it seems that in England, once a squatter's in, I've seen programs where, I don't know how true they are, but somebody just goes away for the weekend, comes back and someone's squatting in their house, and the police can't do much about it.
It's, I suppose I'd imagine there'd be a lot of that in, where there's sort of ghettos and no-go areas and that sort of thing where people don't necessarily want to live there anyway, apart from squatters. Of course, there's, buildings even here in Melbourne that you go past on the train that surely must be squats.
You'd think so.
Or at least they would be, they're empty enough for them.
Yeah, they tend to just be full of attics in there. They're all graffiti-eyed and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Electronics Today, January 1974.
Yeah, one of Roger Harrison's articles, I'd imagine.
Who's written it? Doesn't actually say. Pirate Radio, An Objective View. And it says here, this is a controversial article that will inevitably stimulate considerable discussion. We would like to make it quite clear that the views expressed herein are those of our contributor, Roger Harrison. Electronics Today International...
Oh, how did I guess that?
Electronics Today International does not necessarily agree nor disagree with our contributors' views.
Well, isn't Roger the editor? Have a look at the front of the magazine.
Okay, let's see who the editor is. Colin Rivers is the editorial director, Brian Chapman, technical editor, Michael something or other, consultant editor. Yeah, there's no other names there, I really know.
Okay, well, Roger became editor later on.
Oh, right, he must have written these articles.
Yeah, then he split off and formed Australian Electronics Monthly, which lasted a little while. And what happened after then, I think? Yeah, oh, that's right. He was became involved in WIA for a while, and then he's formed an industry publication. But anyway, what does this article say in 1974, which is 31 years ago?
It says, last year a segment on the ABC programme Four Corners was devoted to report on these pirates. The programme occasioned little comment in the national press, but there was a subsequent wave of reaction that has gathered momentum amongst individuals and groups either directly or indirectly involved or affected by the activity of these pirates. One such reaction was a letter reproduced on page 34. In this article I shall comment on the situation in several ways, giving the position of the PMG as far as can be ascertained, thank you very much, as far as can be ascertained from the little literature that they have available, plus discrete also the Wireless Institute of Australia.
I'll go to the last paragraph and see what he concludes.
Roger Harrison concludes, okay, that's probably the best thing to do. To sum up, you're pretty good with these Roger Harrison articles. To sum up...
Oh, that's the mark of any good article, and I know that, Roger's a qualified journalist, and qualified journalists always have conclusions.
Yeah. To sum up, it seems to me that a solution to pirating is best approached from several directions. Firstly, the forthcoming novice licence, notwithstanding to introduce a further licence classification for the benefit of those who are interested in communications but lack the technical expertise of interest or the associated technology. Secondly, to introduce legislation prohibiting the sale of transceiving equipment to unlicensed people. In Britain, it says a transmitter receiver may not be sold to a buyer without producing an appropriate licence. Actually, there's quite a bit of interest. It says, I should go into it. There's another article on, this is 1976.
But it doesn't sound like he actually recommends legalising it.
No, he doesn't. In his summing up, he recommends that they don't sell radios to people, because we know how well that worked. There's another one here on we've got an SMS. Don't forget you can SMS us here. Egg listening. Oh, that's good. Well, that's just, the egg is listening. There's an article here in 1976 about they just introduced the 27 meg marine band, and here a two-way radio for small boats.
Just before CB.
Yep. And it says that it was basically a replacement for the for the 2 meg band, which nobody could get a license for unless you had a million boats and all that sort of stuff. This was meant for small boats, but it's the licensing restrictions. It says you're not allowed to use it for anything except safety and calling. So basically, it was useless. And it says the PMG did not want it to turn into a natter channel and all of that. And they were just about to introduce the VHF marine band, and they were just doing. Getting a few frequencies available for that. But yeah, it's just amazing how restrictive everything was back then. It's just here the photo of the pirate sitting on his motorbike. He's got a sword and he's got a little Midland set, and he's talking to the mic.
Oh, this is like RPH, where you're giving descriptions of pictures.
It is a bit like that, yeah. Well, when you've got these colourful things...
And it's not colour radio, Oh, it should be like the ABC. You could have internet transcripts or pictures or supplementary material of every program.
It takes so long to do, I couldn't be bothered doing it.
Yes, you'd have to, slaving over a hot scanner.
Yeah. I could, of course, have podcasting, but...
they might get you on copyright, so be careful.
Yes.
And certain people are known to be quite alert to those possibilities.
I think reading out stuff from 30-year-old electronics magazines is pretty safe.
Yeah, provide us for legitimate study and discussion.
It is for legitimate study and discussion.
Oh, in this case, hysterical research.
Yes. They've got the PMG's view. I'll read that, actually. It might be a bit of a laugh. The Postmaster General's Department, page 34, and see what they say about CB, whatever.
Of course, that was at the time where they still thought FM should be on UHF.
Yeah, that's right. Here we are. The PMG's position. Being a regulatory and licensing body, the PMG are naturally bound to enforce the regulations as they stand. The Wireless Telegraphy Act makes it quite clear what unauthorised transmissions are and spells out the penalties for contravention. Currently, the maximum penalties are $1,000 fine and or 5 years imprisonment, with or without hard labour. So far as I can determine, this maximum penalty has not been imposed for at least the past 5 years.
It'd be fun if the hard labour was, tweaking radios or something.
That's right, make use of your skills.
And climbing towers.
It's interesting here, it says, so far I can determine the maximum penalty has not been posed at least for the past 5 years.
So there must have been a degree of discretion where they've gone soft.
Yeah, but then somebody has ended up at Pentridge breaking rocks. Nevertheless, many prosecutions have been made for abuses of the Act since its introduction, and varying penalties. Fines between $200 and $5,000 have been imposed in all cases of pirating and the equipment confiscated.
Pirating, not piracy.
No, it says pirating. So if you're caught, you lose out all round. This raises the rate of capture. Accurate figures for this are hard to obtain without going through all records of court proceedings, a time-consuming and necessarily accurate task. Oh, not necessarily accurate task. I'm worse than the readers on RPH here. One would also need to know the existing number of pirates and their growth rate over a given period. In spite of some quite ingenious, not to mention elaborate measures adhered to by most pirates, the PMG every now and again catches one in the act. The subsequent prosecution is almost invariably successful, but as it is almost impossible to gauge how many pirates there are, one does not know how successful the PMG are at catching them.
What did they say? They said the prosecutions were successful, but they don't know how many there are, and they don't know their success.
Well, that's right. They maybe the ones they
when
target.
When they catch them, they're successful in getting them, in proving it.
That's right, yeah, but there's so many, there's just no way they could catch the whole lot. For obvious reasons...
And they probably breed and multiply when one is caught, two are born.
That's right. For obvious reasons, the PMG radio branch dislikes pirates and their activities, but apart from that, they do not wish the situation to prevail in the USA and New Zealand to occur here by opening up the 27 meg band to all comers. So they don't want to...
So New Zealand had CB before we did.
Yeah, interesting.
Because they had their CB around 26 meg. It was weird. And then I think they've gone to our 40 channels on UHF and 27.
Right. Yeah, so they don't want to open up 27 megs. Invariably, some pirates on 27 megs are distinct from pirates on other bands, turn to amateur radio to further their interest. Quite obvious from their ever-increasing numbers and activity that a large proportion of these pirates are not turning to legitimate forms of radio. There is a need for an outlet, for an interest in communications, and in a view of the PMG and obviously the WIA, is that it should be through the hobby of amateur radio. Right, so they don't think there should be a public communications band. Yeah, I'll see what the WIA had to say. The view of the WIA as a body is that pirating in any form undermines the aims, objects, functions and traditions of amateur radio. The WIA protested that amateurs were not given a fair go on the Four Corners program. It'd be interesting to get that program out and have a look at it, wouldn't it?
It would be.
It'd be in the archive somewhere, probably mouldering away in the film vault with water floating around and perishing. The nitrate film about to burst into flame. A protest was made to the ABC, the producer of the program, Senator McClelland, the Prime Minister's Department, and the Leader of the Opposition. A number of state divisions have made strong protests over the Four Corners program, as has the federal executive of the WIA. It is interesting to note that the New South Wales division has been quiet on the matter.
2 unanswered calls there.
Yeah, that's right. You're quite right. XIE, the 11-metre band, has experienced an increase in amateur use with encouragement from the WIA, with the exception of the New South Wales division. Over the past year or so, probably with the object of reducing the pirate occupation, the proposed novice amateur licence is to be allocated use of this band as well. It is obvious that many amateurs have very strong, often quite emotional and unsympathetic opinions of pirates. There is also a tolerant few who believe that many pirates can become good radio operators. So that's right, we lost 27 megs, and I must admit I came on there a few times to try and have a few conversations, but you just got blocked by pirates and they'd swear at you and everything, so it just wasn't worth doing.
Of course, that's right. Of course, a lot of the amateur transceivers had 11 metres in them, didn't they?
Yep, the FT101 has. That's a lot of pirates got hold of FT101s. Of course, they could then go and transmit big power missions.
They must have been quite serious, given the expense of the sets at those times. About $500.
Right, yes.
And the possibility of that in fines and confiscation.
Oh, and a penalty into the bargain. That's for sure.
Right.
Interesting, the history of licensing in Australia.
Well, pirate broadcasting never seems to have had the profile that it has in Europe and the UK. Even, like if you look in the letters pages of EA or the shortwave listening columns, there's almost no mention of it.
Well, I think that's clearly a view that in the UK you only had, up till the 1970s, the BBC, and there was no other outlets for a more popular style of programming, where in this country, obviously the commercial networks were tuned to what people wanted, and in the most part gave them what they wanted, so there was no need for pirating. The BBC, of course, they had the home program and the light program, and then basically it was all broadcast what they thought the people would like to hear and would improve their...
It would have been quite uplifting.
Well, that's right, but people don't want to listen to that all the time. They prefer to listen to pop music from Luxembourg. Yeah, it is interesting that up until the 70s they were basically only had 4 networks, 4 stations to listen to in a country with about 4 times or more than that. There would have been about 60 million people, and they had less program material, and two TV networks as well. They had BBC 1 and 2.
Oh, they had ITV as well.
Only in the later years, though.
Oh, it's a colour, and didn't they have ITV then?
The Queen might confiscate the mitters. The Queen, I always wondered, because when we used to do the cross bands, there might be a on the door, and the Queen, or maybe Charles, might have come in and said, "I want your mitters. Give it to me now. I need to do official Queen missions."
Well, was there something to do with the Spectrum being Crown property?
Here we are. Here's the letter, the important letter that was written to Mr. Colin Rivers, Editorial Director, ETI. Dear Sir, have read and collected every issue you have ever published in Electronics Today International since its inception.
Which is not very many.
No. The first 2 episodes, and therefore hope that you will publish this letter for the sake of the free, even though it deals with an illegal activity. I refer to radio pirating, and in particular, a segment of a Four Corners program that was broadcast last year. As one of the dreaded pirates, I would like to strengthen and reveal a number of new points about pirating on behalf of my colleagues. The program did a great injustice to us by saying that we will accept no rules and are not willing to pay $6 for the right to transmit.
So the pirates didn't like it, neither did the WIA.
No, this is entirely wrong. I and all my friends involved would be willing to pay up to $20 for an annual license for the right to operate legally. The radio branch of the PMG, Miss V. White, seemed totally against...
Is this live?
Yes, legalising our activities. They don't seem to have a very good argument, whilst the majority of those who at present use the band legally are working... Who use the band illegally are off the air. We rarely use the band before 6 o'clock in the evening, and so the most common heard condemnation of activity, crane drivers, and thus endanger the lives of dogmen. Well, obviously, crane drivers were using 27 megs. That's not very... I suppose it's all they had in those days.
27240 sets.
It would have been, yeah. That's all 27240.
Handhelds. They could have easily dropped them.
Yeah, big enough,
think of all those alkaline batteries that they would have had to put in every day.
Yeah, they used to run off 12 volts. They had a big stack of batteries.
That's right, eight AA's.
Mm.
And actually, when did alkalines come in? Have they always had them, or are they comparatively new?
I think alkalines weren't around when this 1975 era was around.
ITV was on air in 1968 when I was over there.
Okay, and do you know when alkaline batteries became available?
I don't know. Don't know that one.
Right. I remember they were very expensive, and I saw a person buy some alkaline batteries to put in a torch, and I said, wow, that's, he must be pretty rich to be able to do that. But, of course, now they're pretty standard, and I don't think people tend not to use carbon batteries unless it's for something that's, very cheap or uses very little power. So, yeah, I'd like to get hold of that Four Corners program. But
I imagine there would have been radio documentaries as well.
Yeah, I've got some...
news reports of demonstrations and things.
You'd think so.
Although there's some material on the, I presume it's still there. We mentioned it on the broadcast on the ACBRO site. There's some excerpts of articles on the early days of CB, and of course there's that particular book that's still sitting in Monash Uni second-hand bookshop. Now that's a real disorganised rabbit warren, if there was one.
Oh, that sounds quite interesting. Whereabouts in Monash is it?
Oh, it's in the main administration building. It's sort of like a mini shopping centre. Well, like it's sort of got all these student cafes and shops and things. But it's in there, basically in the student sort of guild area, student union area, I suppose. Of course, there's a thing that says, what does it say? Don't ask if we've got a computerised box because pigs might fly or something. But yeah, basically it's the luck of the draw. If you find it, you find it. If you don't, bad luck. Of course, it concentrates on some areas that are covered quite extensively. Very little on electrical stuff. Nothing on electronics or radio, apart from this CB book, which was stuffed amongst the motoring books. There's probably a picture of a car on the front with a CB in it. But anyway, it was a very comprehensive book, which I had to look through it. Not dissimilar from the Dick Smith CB guide that came out at all, if not before that time.
Yeah, it was certainly a big phase, but it seemed to die, which is probably just as well. I'm looking to buy a car radio kit, build your own car radio, 10 transistors, 2-watt output, RF amplifier, tone control, a new 10 transistor...
It was probably just a top cut control.
Yes, that's all they were. It was just a rear step. Yep. A new 10 transistor push button car radio kit will be available later this month using a Philips UF415 pre-aligned and assembled tuner module.
Well, it'd have to be for those push buttons.
Yeah. Reception is extremely good, even in country areas, due to RF amplifier and power output of 2 watts. The push button or manual tuner makes for easy selection of stations, including 160 metres.
Oh.
Yeah, sure. I tell you, it was only AM only.
AM only? FM was going to be on UHF.
Oh, that's right, I remember that. In fact, they had a guest speaker at the WIA, I think it was a VHF meeting of this fellow that was describing how they're going to all the frequencies and why they're going to UHF and all that. And I thought, how stupid. Anyway, the country got flooded with... it was 88 to 108 meg receivers and all that, so eventually they got the idea of a can, but the tower's still up in Mount Dandenong, or up in the Dandenongs.
The test tower, that's right. They built a special test missions.
That's right.
And I've got the article about that too. It was a special test missions to test UHF FM, and the station was only allowed to broadcast its call sign, and it was in no way meant to be like a broadcast service.
So was there any music or ABC transmissions?
No. All it was tone and call sign.
Oh, okay. So it's very good fidelity tests and things.
Yep. It said, this is a test service and in no way anticipates a broadcast service.
Do you remember what frequency they did the test?
I'm not sure. I don't have any idea. I've got the old... there's a photograph of it in the tower in Mount Dandenong. They obviously drove around, had a listen to it. But, they didn't want... Obviously, no one was going to listen to it without having any interesting music or program material.
Now, talking about another electrical gadgets, have you actually tried a transcutaneous electrical neural stimulation unit?
Never heard of it.
Called a TENS massager in common parlance.
Oh, yes, I have heard of those.
Yes, well, I actually went to the a show in the exhibition centre thing, Jeff's Shed today. Supposed to be a home show. Of course, you'd see all these big kitchens and flashy kitchens and building things. Anyway, there is a great deal, there are numerous things on massaging machines of all descriptions. That's the big thing in 2005. Massaging machines, chairs, and there was this TENS thing that had this quite amazing sticky tape that would stick on your arm and you could peel it off without it being painful. And you could sort of increase the voltage and the throbbing, and it supposedly helped with aching muscles.
That sounds very good. So it just puts a pulse in your arm.
Yeah, so 2 little pads and a tiny little box about the size of a keyring remote control running off a little lithium battery, and they reckon that would last about 40 hours.
Wow. And what effect is it meant to relax you?
Well, it's supposed to relax you. I mentioned what would happen if you put one sensor on one arm and one on the other, so it would go through your heart, and they said they didn't recommend it.
Yeah, it could cause a palpitation.
But you'd sort of press buttons to... you'd have different types of impulses for different types of things, like if your muscle was strained or something like that.
All right.
Apparently.
Sounds like it could have been dangerous if you were a bit careless.
It could have caused a reaction.
Oh, but bearing in mind, it was probably only a CR2032 watch battery powering the thing.
Oh yeah. Well, I suppose it's just maybe it doesn't do anything, just a placebo effect.
So, yes, the current would have been that tiny. But of course, all these other things, like there are these big chairs that had remote controls, and they would you'd lie on them, and they'd sort of scan your contours as you sat in it, then it would apply these sort of various fingers under the leather of the chair, which would work on various parts. And of course, that's the cost of that is a large four-figure amount, and there are nothing much of interest in terms... Oh, there are numerous electronic security things.
It sounds like something you'd buy at Dick Wick's.
Yes, well, there was actually a kit. Do you actually remember the...
Oh, this is good. I've got a scriptwriter. I don't need to think much. It's a bit like a helping monkey.
Oh, the phone. What's this phone say now?
So I'll just leave our script writing, our script writing screen there.
The old ones now, of course, are the red batteries and black batteries. Were they silver? No, were they the cheap ones?
The silver ones were the cheap ones. There used to be the silver, and the red, and the black one's supposed to be the extra heavy duty. But the silver ones, they were the cheap ones, and when you put them in a torch or something, the light emissions wouldn't last as long as if you, say, you had the red ones, and if you replaced the red ones with the black ones, because the light emissions would, torch light emissions would last a lot longer.
And weren't there some blue ones as well?
No, I never heard of the blue one.
Silver.
There was a cat jumping through a 9 with a zappy tail.
Oh, yeah, don't they still have that?
Oh, they might, yeah.
Yeah, I think they still got it. That's an old symbol, that cat.
There's a photograph here. Shortwave correspondent Arthur Cushion at his listening post, set up in one end of his lounge room.
He's only recently deceased.
That's right. The address is 212 Ern Street, Invercargill. I actually took a photograph of Arthur Cushion's house when I was in New Zealand.
What was his antennas like?
A very modest brick house, and there were various antenna poles and wires all around it. So I should have knocked on the door and said, hello, but I didn't.
Yeah, he was also a blind operator too.
Yeah, or limited vision anyhow. He had sets with big Nixie tube readout.
Now, he was a big monitor for some of the stations. He was quite world-renowned.
He did. He used to monitor the various shortwave stations and make tapes and send it back to them. So I think he made that was basically his living, making money out of that, and also did DX programs and things.
He used to have a program, shortwave listening with Arthur Cushion on Radio New Zealand. Yeah, I heard him once. Yeah, I think he was made an MBE.
That's right, for listening to missions.
That's right. Well, it's a shame they can't make you an MBE for a running mission.
It might happen one day.
Well, the Queen might knock on the door and give you an MBE.
Yep, MBE, OBE, QC, MP, all those things.
Yeah, you might get all those one day.
No, it will just have to be an AO.
Oh, Order of the Biddleonian Empire.
Yes, and no, you can't have KCMG or anything. The honour system has changed.
And how are you, Peter?
Good, thanks, Lionel.
Peter, Monday I'll be coming up on the AM coffee break. I'll be operating portable from the Mentone Beach.
You're very good from Lake Corangamite.
Yeah, that was only when I went SSB. You did hear me, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I heard you on AM.
Yeah. Were you listening yesterday, Peter? At 11 o'clock AM mission?
No, I haven't listened for a considerable length of time.
You haven't missed anything.
They have very, very long overs too.
The most boring people, have you noticed the most boring people have the longest overs?
Oh, it depends on who they are. I mean, some of them are interesting. Some of them can be a bit boring. But not too many people heard me from Lake Corangamite. But I knew I was stretching the friendship from that distance.
Oh, it's a long way. If you're in a no-noise situation, I think you would have heard both. Obviously, you were hearing us, and if someone was in a low-noise situation, they probably would have heard you as well.
Oh, yeah, it was absolutely no noise. Nothing like power-line missions from, Phillip Island. That was hopeless.
Oh, it's amazing how there's so much noise there is in Phillip Island.
Oh, all over the island. I was a good mile from the nearest power lines, and then the noise was still there, or over Strength 9.
That's
I reckon Stony Point would be quite good.
Yeah, probably. Estonian Point.
But anyway, Monday should be easy anyway. I think everyone should be able to hear me.
Oh, you'll be bash missions. I don't know why some of the other people don't just put up a vertical whip like you've got. That would work much better.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, I was reasonably happy. Even some people could hear me from that distance. Not bad for a mobile whip on 160.
Just to hear it, that's right.
That's right. Yeah, so it's, well, actually, there's a couple of stations on 160. I can hear them some on 20 over 9, but they have trouble hearing me because they've got noise missions at their end.
That's right. I've got a correspondent here who said that they thought the Soak had moved to Queensland. Well, you did move to Queensland.
Oh, that's old news.
Then you moved back here, then you moved to Western Australia, and now you've moved back here.
That's right. Who's saying that?
Oh, just one of the listeners who give us SMSs.
Oh, okay.
On the line.
Oh, well, good evening to the... You also on Echolink, Dave, you got VK3MJ listing.
Yes, who's VK3MJ?
I don't...
Oh, well, he could send a text message to us and say who he is and...
His name's Mark. Good evening to you, Mark.
It's good to have all these listeners. I wonder if there's anyone on...
You should mention the number.
The number? What, the Echolink number?
Oh, no, for him to send a text message to.
Oh, yeah, I haven't done that. He's saying, hi, guys, just monitoring. Right. We had VK3 on before too. Yeah, well, the text, I've forgotten about that. Our text message number for the people who want to text or phone us or whatever is 0429 141849. And we were having text messages before John Fain brought them into his program, so we're quite a bit before that. That the number for the text, the 160 metre text message service, 0429 141849. And if you're listening on our 80 metre service in the inland and the islands, you can send a text message as well from maybe one of those islands in the inland or the islands or whatever where the signal gets to, and we could find out what you're doing.
The extent of the CDMA coverage.
Very extensive.
Or
GSM
even
rather.
people listening on the VHF service too can still send you an SMS message.
Anybody listening on any service can send us a message.
This has been more than a conversation hour.
It has been a conversation about 2 hours.
Daylight saving pinches, I think.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We should be having a daylight
tomorrow morning.
saving missions.
Now, that would be good for me because I might actually arrive at work in daylight.
Are you working on Sunday?
No, but, when they get rid of...
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It'll be getting very dark now.
I get to work at dark now.
Oh, no, it must be very, very unfortunate. No, you get there in the light.
Because
Yes.
in the middle of summer, I left in the light. Well, I've had a few trips to Geelong, looking at various areas there.
Oh, all right.
And an interesting, getting to know the neighbourhoods. There's sort of an area.
Oh, he seemed to have disappeared. I think it's a fault condition. I wonder if it's my end. If you want to come up, Lionel, to see if it is... No.
Well, I'm on 2 metres.
Right, yeah, it must have been. He's on 2.2. Must have been a fault condition. Maybe
Peter on 2 metres.
his battery might have dropped out or something like that. Okay, well, so whereabouts in Lake Corangamite? It's not very exciting or scenic around there, is it? Really, just a lake and farmland.
Yeah, it's nothing much there. I was reading, the information about the area. What I did, I went to Mount Lure. There was an information board, so I took a picture of it.
Oh, right.
And then I did a bit of cropping and editing, and I was able to read I've now got 3 separate pictures, and where I can read the text and all that. And it's it's all quite interesting. Apparently, I think got an SMS message. It's only half filled now, the lake, and apparently it's more saltier than seawater.
Really?
Yep. But I couldn't get right to the shore because of the farmhouses and farmland and all that.
You would have liked to have gone there and put a wire in there for Earth.
Yeah, it would have been interesting.
Have you ever used a...
Hello, you got a call?
Someone's calling. I think this might be a genuine call. Hang on, I'll see if it's a genuine call.
Good night, Lionel. Good night, Dave.
Oh, you're going, are you?
Yeah.
Battery's dropped out.
Well, we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
I'll catch up with you later.
See you. Hello.
You got a request, have you?
I've noticed that when the moon rose, there was Jupiter was close to it, and Jupiter's getting closer and closer to the moon.
Oh, you're right.
There will be what do they call that? A crossover. There's some special name for it.
What Jupiter's getting closer to Earth than the moon?
Yeah, Jupiter's going to be eclipsed by the moon very soon. Anyway, we'll talk to you on the other missions soon, John. See ya. Bye. Yeah, Egg's going to come up on another missions. And also another correspondent asked if Glen Huntly Station is still burnt. No, they did fix it up, and they've, sort of fixed it up. So it's back on air again now, the old Glen Huntly mission station.
Tell you what, which Glen Huntly station that? Well, the railway station?
Yes.
Well, it had caught fire or something, did it?
Yeah, about a couple of months ago.
Okay.
They had to cancel a few trains. And all the ticket machines were burnt, so you could go when you got the other end and they were going to book you and put you in jail, you say, look, I came from Glen Huntly, and they realised the things weren't working.
Oh, well, I didn't hear about that.
No, it happened a while back.
So, well, yeah, fair enough, because that's an old station or something,
No, it's been rebuilt.
Oh, is it?
When they put the third line in, they pulled down the old historic station. One side... the other side still got a shed, which is the original, but the main station and signal box was all replaced.
Third line, is that the for the power for the train or something, is it?
No, they've put 3 lines between, I suppose, South Yarra. Oh no, from Caulfield to somewhere down to would it be Cheltenham, Moorabbin, or whatever? There's actually 3 lines.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, good heavens.
That's to enhance the running of the rail system. That happened a long time ago, probably 15 years ago.
Oh, well, I really haven't taken much notice. Well, I know the electric trains now go as far as Pakenham.
Yes, I'd like to go to Pakenham.
Well, don't think you're missing much.
No, it's no fun to drive to. Maybe it'd be better to go there.
Yeah, no, there's nothing much there. I've been there a couple of times, doing deliveries, and as soon as I make the delivery, I certainly, get out of the place.
Yeah.
Nothing much there. And I tell you what, it's grown, because I had a delivery down to Druin, which actually paid reasonably well because of the distance, but that is quite large now. Very big.
Druin?
Yeah. And Druin I thought would be just a, bit of a hick town, but it's quite huge.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably be a few k's from one end to the other.
Right.
Yeah, so it's quite large, but because again, it's nothing much there that excited me anyway.
No, it never has been.
Yeah. So interesting that you and Peter were talking about the broadcasting in the UK when I was there in 1968. You had BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV. And as for the radio, you had BBC 1, 2, 3 and 4. BBC 2 was more or less a pop type thing, pop station.
Yep.
And they had that on the long wave missions.
Oh, right.
And a lot of the car radios, like my uncle had on his car radio, if you tune the dial down at the bottom end of the AM band, it automatically went straight to 200 kilohertz.
Oh.
You couldn't, unless you had a proper long wave receivers, a lot of them just had the single
channel.
Frequency,
did they?
Yeah.
Oh, just 200 kc for the BBC.
That's correct. Yeah, you just turn the dial down, and it just switched over to 200 kilohertz.
It's 198 now.
Well, yeah.
And so you couldn't listen to the frogs?
Oh no, unless you bought a proper long wave receivers that you had to say 3-band receivers like long wave, medium wave, and
FM.
But a lot of just the 2-band radios basically, you could listen to 200 kilohertz, but you just went down the.
Was it like a switch? You went out too far and it just switched another coil?
Yeah,
or
just
something?
switched over to a coil or something, and it just automatically went to the 200 kilohertz.
Oh, that's interesting, because the most interesting thing is to listen to the frogs and the Germans and all the others.
Oh, yeah, you can hear most of them during the daytime.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and you can drive around London listening to French.
Oh, French, yeah, but unless you can, not much good unless you can speak French.
I suppose not. Oh,
hello, what's happening?
I don't know where that interference was coming from. Yeah, it's interesting, the old long wave, as we've discussed previously on these airs. It seems to be some interest.
You can hear though. I mean, if you're touring Europe, I mean, you could be in a place like Rome and all that. You could hear the 200 kilohertz, the BBC, quite well in the middle of the day.
I know, it's an excellent mission, as we've often said. I don't know why we never had it here. It would have been good for
one of that too, yeah.
Good for long distance missions.
And you could actually hear a station from Warsaw, which is 1,000 miles from England, and you can hear that weekly in the middle of the day.
It's amazing. When I got to London, the first thing I did was seek out a long wave receivers and see what long wave sounded like and a tune across. And of course, it's very, very broad tuning.
Are you going to be trying to persuade us to like him, or to feel sorry for him, or just to admire him as an artist?
Probably a mixture of all three.
Starting with Cary Grant, the new series of Great Lives, tomorrow at 4:30 on BBC Radio 4.
And so now, Beyond Belief with Ernie Ray. Hello. We know that church-going in the United Kingdom is in steep decline. But between two...
Et nous, on est cons à aller le critiquer, voire à l'insulter. Voilà, donc les cons, on en a nous aussi, tu vois, voilà. Bon, non, mais on a notre lot de cons.
Et l'élégance française et tout.
Alors on représente quoi chacun en fait? Lui c'est la vulgaire.
Vous avez entendu?
Et qu'est-ce que tu penses de l'humour français?
L'humour français j'aime beaucoup, il y en a plein que j'aime bien.
Merci.
Dont votre travail. Dans votre travail.
Stoupacími pruhu, tak dejte pozor. Na plzeňské dálnici D5 je odstavené auto na 74. kilometru směrem z Prahy na Rozvadov na...
Content de s'appeler Merda. Il s'est appelé La Couche.
Je parlais de Didier tout à l'heure, parce que c'est vrai que Didier a passé qu'un an ici.
Typically, and in terms of the lived experiences.
Qu'on aime, qu'on adore. Michel Larraz. Ça va, Michel?
Devient juste un peu essentiel, quoi. Et malgré leur influence, les dollars n'ont pas forcément atterri au fond de leur poche, ni dans celle des tyroliens.
În România suntem în legătură directă cu Dan Voicu, cel care de această dată ne va fi ghid în județul Hunedoara. Bună seara!
Bună seara, Alexandru, bună seara, stimați ascultători.
Mais en fait, comme dans beaucoup de régiments américains qui sont en Europe, il faut...
Et effectivement, vous aimez depuis plus de 20 ans. C'est vrai.
That there are so many Iranians coming to the United Kingdom. Why are they coming now?
Had you tune across the thing there?
Well, someone dropping carriers or something.
Some identified person. I'll go and patch the egg through on the other missions, so that'll be a couple of seconds. Just stand by. You can talk bilge if you want.
Okay,
the carrier.
No problem.
Or whatever. So stand on by.
Yeah, okay, I'm standing by. Actually, I'm sitting down. I'm not sure what Dave's actually doing. Also coming out on 160 metres and 147 475 and and also on 3670. Yep, that's right. For the inland and the island service. So I was waiting for Dave to come up, and good evening to Mr. Egg. I was wondering if you can come up on this frequency or 145.325 or something. But evening to you, and I wonder if you ever considered, I don't know whether you got access to the internet, perhaps you should come up on Echolink, but you're listed as busy, so I couldn't connect to you. But I'll catch up with you later on. And I'm listening to you, Dave, on directly on 160 metres, getting a reasonable signal from you, getting a little bit of crappy noise locally, or whatever. Yeah, well, on Monday I'll be operating portable from Mentone. So can you come up on... yeah, I'm just going to turn off these fluo.
Right, I'm just patching the egg through on the line.
Okay, now, I'm just going to switch off this fluo, see whether that's cut down the interference.
Right, I'll just need to put it through an equalised channel, because I remember last time he was very muffled missions on that special UHF link, so please don't stand by, people.
To my calculations, Jupiter will pass just before the moon, below the moon. Okay, I don't know whether I can see the moon. I think it's mainly cloudy outside. I'll go out and have a look in a minute. If it stays clear like it is now, you'll probably see something. Oh, from around at 2:30 I'll certainly have a bit of a look anyway. Yeah. All right, Dave is still sorting out the egg.
Okay, here we go. Please stand by.
Okay, standing by. Well, I was actually sitting down. You trying to get the egg on the light missions, are you? Yes, we go 3M on 2 metres. And Mark, I imagine you must be getting quite a strong signal from the stew. Just wondering, do you listen often on 160 metres, Mark? Yeah, so this is quite interesting. Listen to Dave directly on 160 and getting messages from Mark via the computer. Hello, tones. I see Dave is organising himself. Hello, knocking.
Yeah. Yes, it's a knocking on the line.
Oh my God. As long as stop the silvers knocking.
Hope not.
Might be the Queen.
Could be.
Yeah, I got that recorded actually with the echo links. That was quite funny, that part.
Oh, the Queen, yes.
Yes. You're trying to get the egg on light beam or something, are you?
That's right. Okay, well I'll go and just stand by and I'll get the light beam receiver.
Okay. I cannot believe the bilge still exists. I used to use 20 years ago before I had a light. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, that was a message from Mark, Mr. Stew. You cannot believe the bilge is still here. No, okay, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I've been involved with the crossbands with the branch and the Stew for over 20 years. So, yeah, so you never know, the bilge might continue for another 20 years. What do you reckon, Dave? And he's must be still sorting out the light service. So let's hope he can make a connection. Yeah, you probably even heard a bit of bilge from me from time to time in the early days in the 70s, 80s, well, mainly the 80s. Mark, I used to operate quite a bit on 160 metres. So, but on Monday, have a listen for me on 1843 for the AM coffee break net. I've got a 14-foot helical. which I screw onto the just behind the cabin of my Hilux ute. What I might do, I might put the kettle on while we wait for the ute. Oh.
Well, stand by. You're going on air now.
Right. Oh, you're going on. Okay.
Are we on?
You're on.
Is it my turn now?
Yep.
Yeah, actually, the comments about early broadcasting. Now, in the very early days in Australia, we did actually have a long wave missions for a short time, apparently. If you read, I think it's that Freo book talks about it, the Freo Melbourne history book that I've got somewhere.
Right.
It's mentioned there, and a few other books. The very first missions they tried were actually on...
I'll turn you... You're clipping inside. Just talk the soak and I'll turn you down a bit.
So Australia did actually have long waves about 80 years ago or something for a short time.
You still there, Soak?
I suppose they had...
Yeah, I'm just going to put the kettle on and g'day to Mr. Week.
Yeah, how's things?
Oh, not bad. What you been up to?
Trying to do a bit of this and that.
All right.
Get various works and things happening.
Oh, well, that's good. At least that's keeping you occupied. And your light mission seems to be working all right.
Yeah, it works quite well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I'm amazed how you can... yeah, that's right. You're bouncing the signal off that new building that's going up at South Bank, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
What's going to happen when that is finished and it's all covered in glass?
Oh, well, then it won't work so well, and it'll be a hazard to point it there because there might be people there because of how powerful the emitters is.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, and it's quite a fair distance, from your place to the studio by that building.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a high building. I've seen it. It's certainly going to be higher than the Rialto.
I thought they were going to build another one that was even higher. Or did that get the chance?
Oh God, yeah. I can just imagine. Melbourne is no longer a city; it is a super city now.
Yeah, they are.
Getting unbelievably big. Getting bigger and uglier and uglier.
The trouble is all the thing you go with it, and it's really wrecked a lot of what Melbourne used to be like.
Hang on, just turn the. Just trying to cut down the species.
Get a level on the egg. Yeah.
I'm just going to put the kettle on, guys.
Okay. Is that working correctly?
Just talk close for about 20 seconds and I'll set it up.
Running build for the purpose of circuit identification and alignment. This is a very important technical test, and this transmission will be rebroadcast until it sinks in, as a certain person used to say, who's not with us anymore. But, yes. 1, 2, 3 testing. And we'll just see if we've got the right level of undulations on the emitters to get full fidelity to the limited bandwidth of the system. But whatever. But there was something else I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, that's right. That place that got mentioned earlier on in Huntingdale that has all old quarters and things. I wonder where that might be. I might talk to you about that on Monday when I see you about the other things we were going to do that if you're there then. But so other than that, just been...
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah, Mr. Egg, I was just wondering, can you get back to the stew on by means, or that's what the only light beam's the only way you can get through?
I heard from Mr. Brunts the other day via the Pute.
Oh, yes.
Although actually I hear from him quite often via the Putes anyway these days. So that was working.
Question, how would you go to use, can you use laser missions or something like that to for comms, or that's not
practical? You can, yeah.
Could you? Because I know they've got one of these laser pencils, and they seem to be quite efficient. I just sort of wondered, if you could use a laser. So could you use? This might be a silly question. Can you use ultraviolet?
There was actually a video link that Channel 9 had at one stage that used, I've forgotten whether it was a laser or whether it was what it was, but it was an infrared video link that went over a couple of kilometres, and I think it even worked in the daytime.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're coming through quite well. As long as they don't move that crane, it should be okay.
Yeah, that's right.
The azimuth sort of set, I think it should work okay.
Yeah, so if I went into the city now, would I see any lights flickering on that building?
Oh, you probably would, yeah.
Well, it would be a bit weird that probably the people walking around wondering what the hell's going on then.
Yeah, they would be wondering, wouldn't they?
If I went up to that building...
When I had the other meters going to Camberwell from Hawthorne, neighbours used to ask what the flickering light in the trees was.
Yeah, so if I went up that building and looked at your QTH towards your place, I could actually see your lighting then.
Yeah.
Good grief. And how far you reckon from you be? About, 5 miles?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, you certainly sound okay coming through at the Stews anyway.
Yeah.
If there's of course, if you had fog or something, it would cause problems, wouldn't it? If you had fog or something in the area, that would cause problems.
Yeah, fog makes the missions go for a big wreck, but
yeah, well,
actually, that was the other thing. If you run missions on infrared, they go through fog a lot better than visible light.
Just going to make myself a cup of tea. It won't be long.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so here we are on the big light beam missions.
Yes. So that other experiment might be amusing to try one day with a big broadcast transmitter mod formers to modulate it.
Yes, you'd have citywide coverage.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
You just did not put your hand in front of it when it was on either.
No, it could be a bit...
It would actually burn a hole right through your hand.
Oh, it would, yes. Yeah, it would be most bad indeed.
Yes.
Well, I wonder if anyone else is going to come up on 2.5, isn't it? That's our input frequency auto listening on 9.
Yeah, well, if I can get the other QTH, we used to all we'll be able to do that. But, yeah, this QTH is not very set up.
I think this receiver's popped, the UHF.
What, the receivers has gone for a wreck?
Yeah, we went to near Woomera, Wirramina siding.
Where was the point, or where would have been the best location? Or
well, it would have been in the middle. Africa, I think. See, we got the tail end of it, so it was just the fact that 30 seconds is better than nothing, but it was total for 30 seconds.
Yeah, how long it lasted in Africa?
I think a couple of minutes.
Oh, fair enough, yeah, okay. Yeah, that would be worth the trip all the way to Africa just to watch the event for 2 minutes.
I think climatically, the desert of South Australia was better. Probably less likely to have haze and
Did the temperature? Did you notice the temperature drop?
Did a bit.
Yeah, I remember it dropped a bit in Seymour, but it wasn't a particularly warm day anyway. But and it was fairly late in the afternoon. I think it was around about 4:30 or 4 o'clock or something that it happened. What time of the day did it happen in South Australia?
Well, it was in December. I think it started December, so it was daylight saving, and it happened about an hour before dusk.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah, about years ago.
Yep.
That's about the same as with the one in Victoria back in 75.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made a big pinhole camera and I watched it from Melbourne, so I didn't see the complete thing. It still looked quite interesting, seeing the moon go across the sun and take this chunk out of the sun and seeing the chunk move across the sun.
Oh, it would have, as well as SMS, you can send us an email to vk3ase@yahoo.com if you want to join in the missions, vk3ase@yahoo.com, or send an SMS to 0429 141849. I wonder where the phone is.
Do we revert back to daylight losing this weekend, or is it next one?
It's tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So eclipses are quite good, but some people spend their lives just travelling around the world looking at different eclipses, but it gets...
Oh, it's back on again.
It gets rather expensive. When I changed this missions over from auto to manual, I didn't quite set the timers, so just stand by, I'll put them on manual.
Yeah, okay.
No, I thought the Silver's one of arrived. Thought it might have been the Queen who was going to confiscate your meters.
So has Jupiter gone under the edge of the moon yet?
I'll have a look. No, it's still a little gap there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, this happened a month ago. It happened at about 11:45, and I watched it actually disappear under the edge. Yeah. So it's happened twice this year now.
Just as well, Jupiter's going to be behind the moon and not in front of the moon would be in big trouble, wouldn't it?
I think it would be squashed.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
So, imagine.
Yeah, Jupiter's quite a big planet. Talk about astronomical things, not last week or the week before, I think, with Dennis. We had quite a good conversation on this air about...
listening to Shoemaker Levy with the On 21 Meg, thought that was quite interesting mission.
Yes.
Yeah, I listened to that.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Yes, that's interesting to me because they are finding planets around other stars now, and there's one they found there's about 4 times the size of Jupiter.
Pretty big.
Yeah. Apparently they've identified and tagged about hundreds of other planets, but they really haven't found any Earth-sized type planets at this stage. But they can tell by the wobbling motion of the of the stars. And I think they have actually optically seen one planet so far orbiting another star, but it'll probably be a planet that's probably many, many times the size of Jupiter. So they'll be Earth-sized type planets, but they haven't really got the technology at this stage. But no doubt as things improve and is that Hubble telescope still running, or that I think they were having problems, or I was just wondering whether it's still going, or has it been tuttled?
I think it's still running. I think it's got limited life, but I think it is still running.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I thought they had a few. I knew they had problems with it at one stage, but I thought they had other problems with it.
It's only Hubble, basically up till the 1920s. Observing the galaxies, people didn't really know that there was anything outside the Milky Way up until that time. Right. It's quite recent, isn't it?
Yes.
And he basically said that the nebula were possibly galaxies outside our own, and people thought that was pretty...
look, as far as I'm concerned, the universe is just endless. I mean, it just goes on and 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 on, and it's just it's hard to imagine. It's just no end. It just keeps going on and 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 on, and there's just so there'd be billions upon trillions of galaxies throughout the universe. You just wouldn't be able to.
Well,
it's hard to. It's just it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah, uncountable. It's just that.
It's uncountable.
Yeah, but they thought the Milky Way was there. But yeah, what amazes me is that you can actually look at these things and see light from billions of light years away. It is amazing.
Right. It's like if you bring it to scale. I mean, the nearest star was supposed to be about 4 light years. Something like if you had if you bring it all down to scale, say you had a balloon that's about to say equivalent to the sun. I mean, the nearest star is probably in Perth.
Yeah, it's pretty. There's a lot of space in space. I think that's why it's called space.
Yeah. And yet, can you imagine seeing a ball of light 2,000 miles away? Like from Perth. That's. I know. I'm just talking about if you could see 2,000 miles straight, but you actually like looking at seeing a light, 2,000 miles, and it might be just, the source of the light might be 2 feet diameter or something like that, and then you were looking at, light sources. They discovered, apparently they discovered one star, which is about 20,000 light years. They call it the Piston Star. It's a blue giant. Apparently it uses as much energy, in 1 second, it uses the same amount of energy as our sun uses in an hour, in a year. Yes,
not very energy conscious.
Oh yes, it's but apparently because of being a blue giant, apparently will only last about 10 million, where our sun's supposed to go a lifespan of 10 billion. I don't know how they work that out, but anyway, that's what I read about it one day. I don't know how they can work out. They reckon our sun is about halfway through its life, but how they work that out, I don't know.
Well, they work things out. Then later on, someone else comes with a new theory, and they think that they update it, and things are not quite as right as they thought they were. So it's an ongoing.
So it's an ongoing, debate and all that.
Yeah, because there's nothing. What someone thinks is the rule of law. Then someone comes up with a theory and it changes, or all gets tested and so forth. Then, of course, there's a lot of opposition for the new theory, of course, because people have vested interests in the old one. So things slowly move along.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I mean, in the Middle Ages, they thought everything revolved around the Earth. It was like the Earth was, thought we were inside a big shell or something, and the stars were the small holes and the sun was a large hole through the shell, and everything just sort of revolved around the Earth in the early days.
And if you said different, you'd have your head cut off.
That's right. That's probably also in the days when they thought the Earth was flat, so if you went to the ocean and you went to the end, you fell over the edge.
People had no concept. It is amazing. I mean, I suppose it's pretty hard for people to have a concept of that sort of distance, in an educated world. It's really in the last, few hundred years people have started to realise what it is. Of course, I suppose they looked up and didn't really have an idea. I mean, they're just lights in the sky. Were they close? Were they far? Who knows? There's no real way you can tell until you get theories. Just as well we live in a planet that has sometimes has a transparent atmosphere. If you lived in a cloudy planet that you could never see out, I suppose it would take a long time to learn about the universe, or longer than we have this time.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
If you lived on Venus or something, apart from the fact that you're crushed.
Well, then you'd melt.
I know, but if you lived in a planet like Venus, as far as the atmosphere is concerned, or a cloud, I mean, you could have an Earth-like planet that had...
one of those, either on the Moon or Mars or...
Yeah, have a remote receivers on the Moon and on Mars. It'd make the delay you get on Echolink and that seem nothing, having 8 minutes delay. It'd be a bit of a disjointed conversation.
Well, yeah, so it'd be a bit hard to have a crossband mission.
Well, wouldn't it?
It would be bad, unless you have some special quanta theory to boost the speed of light a bit.
Yes, so that would be... that'd be 8 minutes one way, so it'd be 16 minutes to get a reply.
I think a special thing that does time travel to the RF, so it's all back into sync. See, I'd like a gadget like that to put onto a radio, so I could buy my... I could tune in the TAPS Lotto results and then go and buy the ticket and have all the right numbers.
I think a lot of people would like to develop something like that.
Yes, that would be the go.
Yeah.
But it has to be the only one with it, otherwise as soon as they got wind of it, they'd stop having those sorts of lotteries.
They would. Say for horse racing, you'd only need a few minutes, or a minute.
That's right.
Would be enough, wouldn't it?
Well, actually, for TAPS Lotto, you only need about 1 hour.
Is that when the last ticket's sold?
Well, things like Powerball and that, they sell tickets right up to about 7 or 7:30 in some shops.
I think you can buy it online on the internet. Yeah, so you probably can get pretty close to the draw. You log onto the internet and pick the numbers you want, and you use your credit card or something.
You only need a little bit of future telling. In fact, if you're playing certain games, roulette wheel or something, you'd only need a few seconds.
That's right.
To tell where the thing's going to land, or cards or something.
So you get a thing that would enable you to see things before they happened.
Yeah, just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And that's all you need.
Yeah, after my various reading and all that on the internet, I think it is possible to time travel, but it's very, very, very complex. See, we stuck in time that goes at a certain pace. If you can alter that, it could be interesting.
Now,
Well, somebody was selling a time machine on eBay that looked like a funny missus.
It looked like an old heater, that's right, yes.
It looked like an old heater with a missus built into it.
Yeah, maybe we just go and turn our junk into time machines and sell them on eBay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right.
100 years ago, or 120 years ago, people thought flying was an impossibility.
That's right. Well, heavy than air aircraft. They had airships and balloons then, but heavy than air aircraft were deemed to be impossible.
So, we think time travel's impossible, but, radio or computers would have been just considered totally farcical.
Oh, that's right. Well, I mean, some people tend to think these UFOs, a lot of them actually time travellers from the future.
Well, the only problem is if time travel does work, then we'd know about it because people would have come here. So that tends to indicate that it doesn't work unless there's some other thing they use to mask
where we can't see them.
It could be that time travel is masked from the inhabitants. I don't know.
It's possible.
So they never know about it in the future tense.
It's interesting, but they tend to, some of them think that the UFOs, not all of them come from other planets. I tend to think that, but some of them tend to think they could have come from Earth, but from the future.
That's right, and sometimes you have like a thing that separates them, but sometimes due to different situations they come across to the other dimension.
If you can master astral travelling, it is possible to go into time.
That's an easy way to do it.
Yeah, but you've got to master it.
Yes, it's very hard to control it.
Yeah, I've had sort of semi-controlled astral travelling, but I've never been able to master it.
Not many people have.
I think anyone can do it.
What's this, like astral travel? Yeah, but can you travel in time with that?
I can travel in time and space.
That's right. If you can do it at will.
Oh yes, I know, but there's all these theories. But are you really astral travelling, or is it just that you're having a tripping experience and hallucinating? And I mean, that's the other argument to all that they put up.
Well, it's fun anyhow.
Be able to, well, I mean, you go a bit, hallucinations, but I think if you did astral travel, it is possible to go back and. I mean, I've heard stories of. I've heard of people dreaming things that have come true, and...
Well, so I've had dreams like that, future dreams. I dream something, and then, lo and behold, a couple of months later or something, it actually happens. That's happened to me before.
Yeah, that's... subconscious can actually... sometimes, can actually go in time, but...
Well, I wish I'd had one of those dreams with the TAPS Lotto numbers for the 20 million jackpot or something, because then I'd just go and fill in the ticket and know I was going to win.
That's right. Then you can have a big missions house.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Let me know if you have that dream and I'll buy you tickets.
You could buy a big mansion in Toorak and have a big missions house in the studio in the back.
That's right.
Wouldn't that be great?
It would, wouldn't it?
Have servants.
If you win something like that, you can buy me a nice house in the Perth Hill.
You can just have servants. You wouldn't have to ever do any work anymore. You just sit in the missions booth and
That's
you have
right.
butlers coming, giving you food, washing your clothes.
And you could employ some technicians and pay them $200 a week to fix all your missions for them.
Yes. And you could just be like John Law, sit at a desk and
That's right. I mean, like the broadcast stations do, where you just pay people $200 a week, and when they get into trouble with share-rented houses because they can't afford to pay their rent, you just sack them and get another one.
Yeah.
That's how Channel 9 operates, for instance.
And you could just say, I want to be on these missions, and they set up all the missions.
That's
and
right.
You just talk.
And if they get the wrong tape, well, you sack them and get another one.
Exactly, yes.
Just like the real industry.
Yeah.
So you could be doing it professionally, just like all the other things do it.
That's the way to go, I think.
Yeah.
None of us doing it yourself.
That's right. You just do the planning, and then you get all these people on slavery wages. It's like what the broadcast industry
Dave, you could have the biggest.
Do it all for you.
You'd have the biggest 160-metre mission stations in the world.
Yeah. If you had enough money.
Yeah, and I would have a big 6-metre mission station.
Or any missions you want to do.
How are some of those big stations some of the American amateurs have anyway?
That's what some of those are millionaires, and they just have money's no object to them, and just have what they want.
That's right.
When they want.
Oh, unbelievable! Watched some short video that I watched on the internet. Might have been to do with this, this BPL thing, and you should have seen this guy's shack. Unbelievable! He had the best of everything, best of antennas, and it was quite obvious that he was rich, he was wealthy. But you should have seen his station. There's some big shacks. Some of the big time contesters. They might have separate stations, one for 80, one for 40, one for 20, and 15, 10, and so forth. Complete stations. And this guy get all his mates to come around, and they go contesting on on each each band. So there's some big stations over in America.
Well, I remember some years ago when videotape technology was 2-inch, and that's what they had. There was a picture of this amateur shack, and he had the money to buy a 2-inch quad machine when they were really expensive, and only the Channel 9s that could buy one. Really? He had one in his shack somewhere in America.
Just for home movies?
Yeah, for ATV.
Some of these real
when they weren't junk, they were current broadcast machines. This guy had one.
Incredible. Of course, in America, well, the US, there are so many, it's a bit of a polarised society. You've got the very rich and the very poor.
That's right.
And more very poor, I suppose, but still the very rich, you've got millions of them, and they've all got millions of dollars, and they can buy things like that.
That's
and
right.
Some of these millionaire amateurs, they probably wouldn't know which end of the soldering line is a hot end too.
That's right. Oh, look, you can buy a 62-set, two-way radio, 62-set, 12-volt operation, ideal hams, etc., 1.6 to 10 megs, crystal locked or VFO controlled, 5-watt output, if you're lucky, complete with antenna, headphones, mic, $60.
Where was this?
At Deitch Brothers.
Oh, yeah,
70
Deitch
Oxford
Brothers,
Street.
So they went a long time ago.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a 62 set in a Hamfest about a year ago.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
Somebody was selling number 19 sets and 62 sets.
Does it go?
I don't know. They just had all these old things that we used to play with for sale in the Hamfest. It was either last year or the year before. This guy had a table with all these things there.
Oh, I'd like an old 62 set to play with again.
I think it'd be amusing. I've actually thought, nostalgically, it'd be amusing to get one, particularly now I've got a full call.
Yeah.
I mean, the one I had, I ended up wrecking for parts to make a 6-metre transverter out of it.
Yeah. They had that funny valve, didn't they? That million-pin valve.
For the final, it was a 4-stroke 7.
Oh, right.
I had a whole box of them.
Oh, here's Wayne Communications Proprietary Limited, 757 Glenferrie Road,
Yeah,
Hawthorne.
I used to work there.
Really, it says, meet our friendly sales staff, John Egg, VK3ZGJ. A great knowledge in all things electronic and radio.
What, does it say that?
Yep. There's a picture of you there, standing with some equipment.
Well, I used to work there on Saturday mornings and things for about a year back then.
Yes, he's not there
Can
anymore.
you scan that picture, Mr. Egg, and Mr. Stew, and perhaps email me a copy?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Oh, that'd be good. I'd love to have a look at it.
Yeah.
Deutsch Brothers, weren't they? They were in Sydney, weren't they?
Look, at Wayne's you can buy a BC 108 for 50 cents.
Well, that's cheaper than they are now, I think, or is it?
Oh, I think they're worth nothing. About
What are they? Oh, no, about 10 cents now, aren't they?
Yeah.
But then it was newer technology then.
True. You just buy a bag of 100 million transistors and there's usually a few in there.
Yeah.
That Deutsch Brothers or Deutsch Ditch Brothers, were they in Sydney?
Yes.
Now, just wondering,
Oxford Street.
That's something to do with 3DB, of course, because weren't the 3DB was named after something Brothers?
I vaguely remember something about that. I'm not sure, but it's a Sydney thing, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I remember it was Sydney. There's another one in Sydney that was fairly popular too. Was it ACE Radio or something?
Yes, ACE Radio.
I actually played the visit one.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, I've actually called in there one time, but the first time I went to Sydney. But there's none of those places anymore. They were fun places. United Trade Sales, and you had Waltons and...
Well, that's why you don't see projects to build mitters in silicon chip anymore. Because there's no way of buying all the tuning capacitors and whatever else you'd need to build the mitters.
You've got to go to Hamfest. I think that's why Hamfest is becoming a big thing, because really it's the only place to buy that sort of stuff.
That's right, because you can't... Yeah, because I used not to bother to turn up to most of the Hamfest, because I just go to ham radio suppliers or wherever and get all my parts. But now there's nowhere where you can buy them. Oh, well, I suppose there's Jackson or whatever, but they want like $100 for a little tuning capacitor.
It was like in the city, you had about 5 Hamfests happening all the time.
That's right.
Just continuous Hamfests.
That's right, because there was Waltons, there was United Trade, there was, that other warehouse up behind RMIT.
Cars Bazaar.
Cars Bazaar.
Didn't know that one.
Oh, that was a good one. Particularly when it was closing down.
Light globes going for a pop.
Throwing them out the windows out the top of that
and all
warehouse.
The things going down the lift well.
The lift well. That big console that probably came from Woomera, probably cost $1 million when it was built, and we pushed it down the lift well and went smash and all. Then we poured buckets of ink.
That was
down
that
on...
thing that you originally wanted with the crow tube in it and all the knobbies.
That's right. This looked like a typical 1950s atomic test control panel.
Yeah.
And we pushed it down the lift well, it went smash, and then the ink and everything went down. And the guy running the place, he couldn't care less because he was being closed to and he was losing his job. So
right.
we were just running amok.
I bet you it was the land taxes going up or something like what's happening now.
Yeah, as you're being turned into the Dimaroo Centre, that's why.
That's right.
It was
well, they hadn't even thought of that then.
No, it was just all those old warehouses that used to be in that part.
That's right.
But that was basically, it was...
well, the shot tower's still there. It's in the middle of Dimaroo.
That's right. Every time I go in there and I see the shot tower, I remember the old Cars Bazaar. Of course, they had it.
The shot tower used to be part of Melbourne's skyline.
It was. I've got photos of it from the RMIT.
Now, something that high you wouldn't even see.
That's right. Cars Bazaar was a photographic shop or something. It actually was in one of the main streets, and they had that warehouse.
Yeah, it was in Swanston Street.
That's right. Which they never...
Down from RMIT, across the road from the museum almost.
Yeah. And they never used it. It was just full of junk they'd bought over the last 100 years. And when they had to sell a place, you could go in and buy junk for cheap and smash it and throw it down the lift well.
Whereas before they had to sell it, things used to be quite expensive for what they were in there.
Yeah.
I remember I went into Cars Bazaar before that was happening, in the late 60s, and they'd want some huge amount of money for some bit of junk, and you just go over to Waltham's and buy the same thing for 100th of the price.
And then they had to open up their warehouse and get rid of it, and things were going cheap. There was things
right.
were so
you couldn't go in that warehouse.
No, we used to ask about the warehouse, and they said no, it's not open to the public.
That's right.
But we certainly went there when it was boxes of VT104s.
Yeah, I still had all those until I was in White Street. Now, some amateur I gave them to had them in a Hamfest a few years back. They're still in the same box I used to have them in.
Were they a very good valve?
Oh, you could make a good HF linear amplifier or something out of them.
Right.
I think they were about 100 watt dissipation or 150 watt dissipation RF pentode.
Oh, all right. What meters were they used in?
That meters I gave you, the T1154 meters, which was out of a World War II British bomber.
Oh, those with the coloured knobs.
That's right.
Oh, very, very famous meters.
Well, the Branches Half Moon Sievers was the companion sievers to that meters. That was an R1155.
That's right.
Was the T1154 meters, and that was in a Lancaster bomber or something.
Burt Lancaster.
Or a Handy Page Halifax, or those sorts of aeroplanes.
Oh, yes, it was quite a good place there, Mr. Soak. You missed out.
No, I didn't know that one. Thought I knew, I knew most of them, but that one I didn't know. Yeah, it was because I was only a kid at the time. I remember there's been a couple of times I bought something from one of those places and drag it down Elizabeth Street.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you put it on the train, then I had to drag it from the station to home, I remember that.
And an AT20 or something, yeah, it takes some time.
And you're struggling with it down Elizabeth Street or something.
People are looking at you dragging this thing along.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought something, Dave. Your Echolink, where you have the information, we haven't got any information there, but what you ought to do, like on the right-hand side, where the call signs come up, that's connected.
Yeah.
What you ought to do is put a bit of a blurb about the mission, such as, if you wish to report in on the missions, SMS.
I have done that, but the trouble is it doesn't come up on that thing.
Oh, it should, because if you've got my, if you click on my call sign, I've got all sorts of information on it, and what you could do is, put some information about the missions, and.
Well, how do you do that?
Oh, God, I've forgotten now.
I've went to the thing, the tools, the preferences, and it says to do all that, and it never comes up.
Oh, then you should be able to just type it in. I haven't done it for ages.
Well, what happens is you type it in, and I can see it. Then when someone connects, it just goes to the normal thing with whoever you're talking to.
Yeah, but like for example, if you wrote that in, well, I mean, if I log into my own call sign. All that.
Well, I'll do yours. I have to cut you off this.
Yeah.
Are you listening on Echolink or offline?
Oh no, I'm listening to you direct.
Okay, well I'll close it and I'll come back and have a listen to you.
Oh righto.
have a look at you rather. Look at it, make of it.
Yeah, okay.
And we'll open Echolink again.
All right.
CVKNM.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, I'll click onto you.
Yep, you're connected.
Yeah, Lionel, I've got the whole lot, yep.
Yep, you got here, and what I see is Dave, Melbourne, Australia, on air, now live on 1850 AM, 147 megahertz FM, and 3670. That's what you must have typed in, correct?
Yep.
Okay, it's right in front of me.
Now, you can see that now, but you can't see it normally when I do the things.
No, that's interesting. I see what you mean.
Maybe it only works when you connect to somebody, if they connect to you. No, I've connected to you. Maybe it's because I'm in a conference mode.
Don't know. You're in conference mode, are you?
No, I'm just in no mode. Just
I've never been in conference mode.
Disconnect from you, and you connect to yourself, like I do. You don't need to put any audio out. Just connect to yourself.
Okay, I'm just doing that now. Yep, all my stuff comes up.
Okay, well I'll log into you and see if I can
all right.
see anything. Right, you're blue now on the thing.
Oh, it's blue, is it?
It says cannot connect, busy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you must
maybe because I actually connected to myself.
I think what it is, you can have a in the preferences you can set it up to take more than one call, which I've done.
Oh, righto, yeah, I probably haven't done that.
Yeah.
I must get the system going one day soon.
Oh, it works quite well.
I think the reason that I haven't set it up to accept more calls is because I'm still on a dial-up.
Of course, yes, it wouldn't work too well. It's hard enough to do it on
because I think you got ADSL or something.
We've got Optus cable.
Oh, righto, yeah.
What's that cost? About $60 a month?
Yeah, about that, something like that.
Yeah, so it's interesting that your information came up when you connected to me.
Yep.
And yet, if I connect to you...
You don't get it.
I don't get it, yeah. So
yeah. It's interesting because that's... I've often wondered why that doesn't happen, because that would be very good. People could connect up and see what it's all about.
Yeah, because I was saying, on your information, you could have had... I could be connected on, SMS by... with your phone number, and
yep.
You can also put in details. You can also contact me by, 145, 325, or 70 centimetres.
So whereabouts are you located, Mr. Stokes?
One Turner.
One Turner, yeah.
It's interesting, Dave. I think it's the way you got it set up, or the preferences or something, that if you set it up to accept more than one, maybe that blurb doesn't come up.
What I could do is, actually I could change that preference and have a look, actually.
I'll go and disconnect from myself.
Okay. And I'll look at the tool preferences, connections. Okay. Allow conferences, take off the conferences thing. And I shall say okay. I shall connect to I can't connect myself if I do it this way, can I? Because it won't be... I've connected to me. Now, you won't be able to connect to me because I'll be busy.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, so I can see my own thing there, and you connect to me and see if you see it.
Oh, righto, okay. Let me know when you've done it. And
Okay, it's up now. Connected to Lionel, there we are.
Yep, no problems. All your information's there.
Okay, and I've got all your information. Connections, allow conferences. Right, if you connect to me now, see what happens.
Yeah, you have to come up first. Yep, okay, you're back on. Okay, I'll connect to you. No, yep, getting the details from you.
Okay, I think I know what happens.
Yep, no, that information when it just got there's the call signs.
Yep, it must be something to do with when you connect to yourself, people can't get that information back out of you.
Oh, that's interesting.
I wonder if there's a way around it. It might be that it was never just something that I'm doing that hasn't been written into the program, and it doesn't...
Oh, it's possible, yeah.
Has a glitch.
You might find something in the help files, but I always find the help files always confusing.
I've looked through the help files and I couldn't really see anything much there at all.
It's like anything, when you look at the help file, I mean, there's a whole lot of information, but not what you're after.
Exactly, it just goes on and on, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it goes on and on. Well, look, perhaps if you come up on...
I think, see, the way I'm using it, as a broadcast service, I don't think it's really set up to do that.
Probably not.
So that's why it was never written in. It's possible they don't really want people to do that either. 'Cause it's
it's a good program.
and it works. It comes online in about 2 seconds. It just pops up all the stations. It's just
It works it even works very well on dial-up.
Yeah, and the moon's gone past Jupiter now.
we'll have to work out the timings when you can see the Jupiter again. I should have got a big telescope.
You can see it again now.
Oh, you mean it's gone right past?
Yes.
We've been talking that long.
That's right. We've been talking for more than an hour since it was nearly under the edge. Now, I think it wouldn't have gone under the middle of the moon anyway. It would have been to one side.
That's right.
The moon would have only obscured Jupiter for a lot less than an hour.
I'll go and have a Bill looks.
Yeah, because I just did that now.
I'm going to have a quick look myself.
Yeah, it's just under the moon now. Yeah, it's just under the moon.
Yeah, well, it's on the way out the other side.
Yeah. Oh, it's quite fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, so the moon has passed Jupiter, because Jupiter's now west of the moon instead of east of the moon.
West of the moon.
West of the wall, I'll wait for you. West of the wall, our dreams can all come true.
Have a spoon.
Something like that. They have silly lyrics like that in songs, don't they?
Yes, that's right.
I mean, some of the lyrics in songs are a complete joke, aren't they?
West of the wall.
Yeah, I think they write the music and then fit the words to...
I do. There's chilly missions outside.
Yeah, it was chilly last night.
Yeah, it was.
It's the first really cold weather we've had in this summer season.
Yeah, so I take it, where I'm looking at the Jupiter, well, that means past behind the moon, is it?
It's no, it's underneath the moon.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Righto. Yeah, because we've been talking for quite a while. It's nearly 2:45.
Yes, I think we might close down at 3.
Okay, yeah.
Or if you want to close down any earlier, it doesn't worry me. But yes, it's certainly
3,
been...
which is really 2 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, we can talk longer. That's right, because of daylight saving.
Well, it's really quarter to 2.
We haven't had daylight saving, but ever since Gordon Gow left this thing, it's not as interesting.
At the third stroke, it will be 9:50 and 10 seconds. At the third stroke...
The clocks are accurate to 100th part of a second. Each is checked every 24 hours against a master clock housed in the Post Office Research Laboratories in Melbourne, which in turn is itself checked daily against the standard chronometer maintained by the Commonwealth Observatory at Mount Stromlo near Canberra.
At the third stroke, it will be 10, 27 and 10 seconds.
I could have a listen to it. We could play it back later on, I suppose, when I close down the DLS segs, daylight saving.
Well, I might stay on for that much longer anyway tonight.
Well, we've certainly had a good conversation.
People on night shift, they're working tonight. I wonder if they get paid for the extra hour.
I think if you're working one of them, you work for less and get paid. Like one you gain, one you lose, and I think they work it out on average. You don't. But if you're just working one shift, I suppose you could gain or lose.
Oh, that's why they do it on the weekend.
Yeah.
Because there wouldn't be too many shift workers at the moment, and mainly for the coppers, the fire brigade, the ambulance, and service station operators.
Yes. Taxi people.
Taxi people, yes.
Pilots.
Well, of course,
airport people.
Taxi people, they're not on a fixed wage anyway.
No, they just get paid for what they do.
Yeah, but
radio announcers.
Radio announcers, yeah.
What else?
I don't know whether there's any whether they're working in the motor industry on a Saturday or Sunday.
Well, there would be in the oil refineries.
Yeah.
Might
be some tankers drivers that fill up the fuel at the service stations. They tend to work overnight.
That's right. There's probably quite a few. Particularly, there's more people at 7-Eleven stores.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be. But you wouldn't have as many working, say, if they change to daylight saving on a Wednesday or something like that.
No, that's probably much fewer.
Oh, that's right.
Or disco people running at discos on Saturday night, nightclubs.
All of them. Yeah, well, this Echo Link program is quite good because it works very well with dial dial-up.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Where Skype works better with
broadband. Well, it was written for broadband. If it works on the other, well and good, but it's not designed to.
Actually, sometimes it works. I found Skype works very well on with my dial-up, and other times it depends on the connection or whatever. A lot of dropouts, but sometimes I mean one time I heard you on Skype and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Another time when I heard you, it was sort of dropping in and out.
Yeah. Oh well, you can't have everything. I suppose it works okay.
Yeah, because last weekend, it wasn't too cold. I was on top of Mount Boo-Angle.
Oh, whereabouts is that?
Not far from Outlook Hill. Yeah, where the Ballarat TV emitters are.
Now, last week, Saturday night, was quite mild. I was
up there. It was at John Moyle, and I was sleeping in the back of my ute.
Right.
I used some of my tarps as sort of, makeshift tent.
Yep.
And it was cold. I think I would have been suffering.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too bad. It was, I was chilly. I mean, when the wind came up around about 4 o'clock in the morning, it was got a bit drafty.
Yeah.
And of course the vehicles I couldn't find a perfectly level ground.
Yes,
so
that always
an
happens.
angle,
Yeah.
and it kept rolling.
Right. And have you got a good sleeping bag?
No, I didn't. I just had some blanket. I just took my doona and just some thin mattresses. But the biggest problem was the vehicles were at a bit of an angle because I kept rolling.
Oh, yeah, that happens, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, so I couldn't find any ground that was perfectly level, and I couldn't move the vehicle because I had a big mast up with a 6-metre tennis on top.
Yeah.
So I couldn't move position or anything like that.
Oh, right. Was anyone else up there as well?
Oh, yeah, there's about, let me see, there's it was 5 of us. We had I've got a few photos. I've got, we had 2 metres, 70 centimetres, and HF and 6 metres. So, it was not a bad, not a bad QTH. You can trip a fair portion of the repeaters around Victoria. And Wagga Channel O was bulk, was dash strength.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
So, fortunately, it was reasonably mild.
Yes, last week wasn't too bad. I was in...
but it's a bit interesting getting there in a motor car. You've got to get off the track and you've got to go in between the trees.
Oh, there's no actual road up there?
Oh, not where we were.
Oh.
There's no road and not even a track.
Gee.
You just have to drive through. Oh, you can drive in between the trees, but there's no actual track to where we were.
Huh. And this is near Ballarat?
Yeah, you go to Beaufort and you go to Beaufort and you turn off at Beaufort and you go along this road. Then you take there's a sign that says TV station.
Ah, yeah.
So it'll take you to the Mitters, and we're only about 2 k's from the Ballarat Mitters.
Was the Mitters causing interference?
A little bit when they swung the beam towards the direction, because there's a few pages on the at the Mitters site.
Right, yeah.
So it buggers up 2 metres. Because there's no VHF TV missions anymore.
Oh.
It's all gone to UHF. Channel 6 gone.
Has it really? It's all UHF?
It's all UHF in the country now.
You're joking?
I'm not. It's all UHF missions. Same with Bendigo. Bendigo's still got Channel 1. I think Channel 8's gone to... they've gone to UHF. I know all of Gippsland's gone to UHF. So Channel 10 went to Channel 8 when Channel O here went to Channel 10. And then they've gone to UHF. So Mount Tassie and Gippsland is all UHF missions. So I think there's still some translators on Channel 7 East Gippsland. I'm not sure, but I know that the Mount Tassie is all UHF. Shepparton, I think they might be still on Channel 6, but I know that all the Ballarat went to UHF. So I think even Shepparton's all UHF missions. Of course, all the Channel 3 and Channel 4 are long gone.
Yeah, because there's FM. Yeah.
But there's still Channel 3 and 4 in Western Australia.
Right. I suppose it's meant for the long distances.
Yeah, well, if you go south of Perth, Busselton and those areas, still got missions on Channel 3 and Channel 4. Yeah, and there's still Channel 4 missions around Port Augusta, because you can listen to one of the commercial channels, Prime. I heard one of the variety shows. What was it?
The new Price is Right.
Yeah, that's right.
A fortune in fabulous prizes may go to these people today if they know when the price is right.
Something like that. I heard that on the FM radio.
Right, back again.
Oh, back again.
Is that show still on? I don't think it is it?
Yeah, the new Price is Right.
Oh, new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all
Not
there.
the old Price is Right. Then they'll have the new Price is Right. Just like the late show.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I try to get onto what's that new show, Deal or No Deal? I tried twice to try and get onto that, but I never got a reply.
People say that Deal or No Deal is a game of numbers. Well, in one sense, yes, it is. But it's so much more than that. It's a game of possibilities.
Right.
I went for the old, register and all that, but I never actually got on to the end of the recording.
So you've never been a big TV game show personality?
You know, maybe I don't look, they don't like to look at me or something. Maybe they're pretty fussy.
Yeah.
Maybe you ought to be...
You've probably got to have the right look to get on those things.
Yeah, and not
maybe
too
they think I look a bit too ugly, so I've never been a TV personality.
No, that's a pity.
Yes, one of those things. I don't think I'll... once I applied for Sale of the Century, because there were sometimes some of the, the higher prize money questions. Oh, I know that.
A $20,000 trip to Tahiti, the classy BMW Z3 Roadster, and the cash jackpot of $120,000. All on the world's richest quiz, Sale of the Century.
They're easy. But sometimes some of the lower prize questions, I would have been stumped. It's like the old saying, if you know the answer, it's an easy question. If you don't know the answer, it's hard.
Yeah, that's exactly right, isn't it?
But that's always true.
Like one of the questions they had for the $1 million, how many people have actually set foot on the moon?
How many people have set foot on the moon? Well, the final objective of the Apollo moon mission is due to be carried out aboard the Spidery lunar module from 1969.
Well, how was Apollo 13, where they nearly lost the whole thing?
That went for a bang with the oxygen.
Yeah, the oxygen thing blew up, and it
went from Apollo Apollo 11 through to Apollo 17. So less the two people that couldn't make it. So how many missions were there? There was 11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17. So there were 6 missions that went to the moon. So 2 people out. Yeah, the answer would be, well, I would say...
One of them caught fire on the ground and killed everyone.
That's right, yes.
Well, all the Apollo missions went to the moon except for mission 13.
Yes.
Actually,
I've heard since the space tuttle jubbed, well, they've cut back on things, so now they're not going to maintain the Hubble Tuttle Shuttlescope, so it might go for a jump.
It will, it'll tuttle-buttle.
Yeah.
I can just imagine in 100 years' time, instead of, we're talking about Snowies and Hammer and Waltons and all that, there might be a big super space store up in space. So there'll be a big warehouse of old satellites and things like that. So
you're voted by old space tuttles.
And you might have to have your own little private space car or something in 100 years' time. You might have to go up there and buy yourself a satellite.
Yeah.
Then you could do geostationary orbiting missions that everybody would be able to hear and put up 3 missions.
In 100 years' time you might have a 22-second version of Snowy Milburn.
Yeah. That was a good shot. It was a pity he had a stroke and dropped dead all of a sudden in the mid-80s. That's what brought it to an end.
Is that right? I've got a rack here. It's got X-Brock Milburn written on it, so it was delivered to his shop. They carried on for a while after, though, didn't they?
His brother was or somebody ran it for about 6 months or something, but he didn't really want the business. He thought it was a pain. So then he just sent half the stuff on a tip and sold the building.
Yeah, they had the place in Ringwood, Richmond for quite a while.
Hyatt Street.
Yes, that was quite
That's what I'm talking about, Hyatt Street. Well, he owned that. Well, there was also another one in Melville Street, Hawthorne, which I used to walk to that one quite often. It was on the way home from school, in fact.
5A Melville?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to... I've been there a couple of times just to catch the tram to Kew, and yeah, I remember that. There was a little shop there.
The shop's still there.
Yeah, it's still there, but...
it's someone's house.
And the one in Hyatt Street, some studio or something now.
I thought it was somebody's yuppie
yuppie
house.
flats. The door's still there, used to walk through, but it's all yuppie.
Yeah, somebody turned that into a yuppie residence.
Like I used to go when I went to the city at RMIT, I'd look at Ham Radio Supplies, Cars Bazaar, STU Sales, all those ones there, and on holidays I'd take a special trip to Hyatt Street to look at the other warehouse and a few other ones.
That's right.
It was a great time of junk.
Well, recently there was a place in Huntingdon, I don't know if it's still there, I forgot what they call it.
Mac service.
But
they want top dollar for everything.
Do they still exist?
Right. I don't know if they're still there, but yeah,
they were good.
Run by a fellow called Bernie. But
that was a great shop before it went bad, and they bubble packed everything and charged 100 times more.
Oh, yeah, that's what they did. So you can't buy anything there now.
Yep, I got a lot of things from there.
Well, so did I before they changed it.
It was ridiculous changing it, because I just decided not to go there anymore.
Yeah, because in the late 80s, it was a good shop. You could buy things really cheap there.
Yeah.
And then they changed. In fact, Nigel and I went there after they changed. We walked in there, and the guy just about threw us out because we weren't interested in spending $800 on a crow that you could buy in a Hamfest for $50.
That's exactly right. I used to go there, and Bernie used to be very helpful. I'd just spend a few hours looking through junk.
That's right.
And always spend a bit of money there.
Yeah, that's right.
And then I walked in one day, and there was another guy there with Bernie, and he says, "Yeah, what do you want?" I said, "Well, I'm just having a look." He says, "Oh, no, you tell us what you want, or buy this stuff on the shelf, but we don't have people in here anymore."
That's right.
I said, "Okay." I walked out and never went back, and there's probably quite a bit of... I could have bought quite a bit of stuff.
That's right.
Yes,
same here.
Yeah,
he had crows in bubble packs that you would have bought for $50, but they were $500 because some technician polished the knobs and put them in a bubble pack.
That's right.
And it just wasn't any fun. You couldn't walk around the back and look through things and stuff.
Exactly, so it just lost the whole appeal.
Yeah, exactly,
and besides all the things, I mean, who would pay $500 for something like that when you can just wait till the next Hamfest on and get it for $20 and get the same thing?
Yeah, I don't know if he's still running or went out of business or what. He should have with that sort of policy.
I don't know whether he's still in business, but...
There was all that stuff. You know, the driveway was just full of racks of stuff, and sometimes the things sitting out in the rain were more interesting. You just look at them, you know, and it was really, really an excitement to go to those things. But as you say, I think because those sort of shops don't exist anymore, we have to rely on the fests.
That's right, and also that's why the electronics magazines in Australia don't run projects on building transmitters and RF stuff anymore, because you can't just go to your normal electronic shop and buy the parts. And of course Dick Smith had a few of the parts to do RF projects, but now they're just a greengrocer's shop or something, and they sell toasters
downhill. I mean, now...
I mean, they've ruined
or if you want to buy a toaster or something, but that's why Peter left.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, a good place was up in the northern suburbs, Wolf Metals.
Wolf Metals, that's
that
gone
was
too.
Fantastic. And he had walls and walls stacked up with C-42s and things.
That's right.
And all this great stuff. And he was the same. He used to go in there and spend a few hours and get stuff. And then one day I walked in and said, "Oh, you can't come in here. You know, my lawyer says I can't have people walking in here in case the C-42 falls on their head. You just got to go out and the stuff has to be crushed and sent to the scrap metal place, even though he's not getting as much money for it."
Yeah, that's right. Is that what happened? They closed him down?
No, but they told him his insurance wasn't for people walking around and getting hurt amongst all the scrap metal. But I bought my Hollywood...
Well, that's ridiculous.
I know. My Hollywood MagnaSync mixer there at Wolf Metals, and 5-spot machines and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
and that Sievers, the Navy Sievers.
The Navy Sievers. I wish I hadn't got rid of one of those now.
They were great. In fact, on the web there's a whole page and specifications for them and the whole lot.
Yeah, the TCA 1624, isn't it?
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
They were an excellent Sievers. They were super communication Sievers.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know why I got rid of mine. I know why I got rid of mine. The dial cord popped.
Well, on mine it developed a fault, and I didn't have the circuit, and it was just a big heavy thing not working, and because having to move from one rented house to another and whatever, somebody said, "Oh, what's that?" and I gave it away, and that was it.
Yeah, I gave mine away. I obviously didn't give it to you. I gave it to someone else, obviously, but I think it was for Good Home. But it was a quality receiver. Had the variable bandwidth and everything.
That's right.
And went down to, I think, 16 kc. You could hear Amiga.
That's right.
Going burp.
Yeah, well, mine worked really well, and then all of a sudden it just went totally deaf, and you couldn't hear anything.
Is that still running, Amiga?
No, that closed down, probably 15 years ago.
What about Northwest Cape? Is that still running, do you know?
Yeah, that's still running.
I see, yeah. I don't know if you've ever been to Experts, but by gee, the tenors there were impressive.
It's one of the biggest tenors in the world.
Yeah, it's the centre mast was something about 1250 feet tall.
Incredible, isn't it? It's tall as a mountain.
Yeah, I sort of looked at it and I said, gee, that's a big tenors. That would have to be the branch of the
VLS. It doesn't have a big capacity hat with big mast around the edge supporting it?
Yeah, so it works on
Have you done anything with your antenna? Because I reckon you're stronger than I received you the previous days. Are you still using the same tenors, or did you make some changes?
Well, how far back are you talking about?
Oh, even a couple of weekends ago. You're quite you're not noise free, but you're quite a reasonable signal, and probably because probably haven't got as much crap coming in as well, but certainly quite a reasonable signal tonight.
Yeah, well, you had a lot of trouble a while back. I did my Earth system. It looked like the connection to the roof had gone corrosion and was going high resistance, and a few other of my Earth connections looked like they weren't working, and I did them all up again, and I think it did improve things a little bit as far as the antenna current, so maybe it's made a difference, I'm not sure.
Oh, well, that's certainly quite good, because I switched off the TV when the TV is on. It generates a lot of crap.
Yeah.
But, you've got a reasonable signal. I'm listening to you on a real National Panasonic. That's got a sort of like a square loop antenna.
All right.
It's got just a broadcast band and 3 shortwave bands.
We'll see what I'm using now for National Panasonic.
Now you guys are listening on 160, obviously.
Yes, right.
I'll test my little emitters I bought from the Hamfest.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yep, it's 15 watts, and I'll go off
I don't think I'll hear it indoors in this flat though.
Well, have a listen anyhow, and
okay.
I'll be back in a sec. I'll drop off the main emitters and come back on the other ones. Stand by.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, well, the audio. Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, I can receive it. It's fainter, but I can hear it.
Yeah, okay, I can hear you all right.
Well, it seems to work. Well, I had to turn the volume up quite a lot more on the receivers, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, okay, I could hear you on the
radio.
Yep. Hang on, I'll just turn the volume down. Oh, speedies.
Right.
Right, well, I heard the other emitters.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to, but I suppose it was about 10 or 15 dB down or something here.
Yeah, it's about the same here, and yeah, certainly good communications.
The audio is fantastic. It fully modulates. It's very nice.
Is that broadcast quality like on your emitters now?
Oh, well, no, it doesn't.
But it's good communication.
So what is it, like a little marine emitters?
It's a little marine emitters. It's built in like a die-cast box, like Eddystone boxes you build projects in, and it was basically designed as an emergency emitters on a boat before VHF Marine came in.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks quite modern in design, and it's got a 2182 2201 and 2032.
Oh, yeah.
Or that's what
How
I
much
had.
tuning did you have
Well,
to
remember
get?
I've got an older thing like that, but it's got a valve in it. It's a on about 2 megs.
Yeah.
At AWA, I think it's all solid state. It's got a 2E26 in the output.
Well, this one is all solid state. It's quite small and it's linear. So in the transmit, it's wide band between 1700 and 2.5 megs. So all you need to do is put a crystal in and it works. It's got no tuning.
Well, that's all right.
What sort of antenna connection does it have?
Banana plugs, but it was meant to work into a loaded whip, a 2 meg loaded whip.
So where did that come from?
From the Hamfest the other week.
Oh, yeah, sounds all right.
And it's obviously, I opened it up expecting to find mod formers, 2N3 double ones driving a thing or whatever, but it's just, it's all linear, and there's a big transistor bolted onto the side, onto the chassis, or onto the box, and that's the output stage.
So it's low-level modulation of a driver somewhere.
Yep, low-level modulation just gets multiplied.
Like a 101 on AM.
Yep, and it's, as you heard, very good quality.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It'd be a great little portable emitters for the car or something.
Yeah, wouldn't it be all right?
And a half wave or a 190-degree wire or something.
Yep, and I think the quality...
What was the output impedance with the nano plugs?
It's designed for 50 ohms, but it has a loading switch. It's got a clipped... it has a coil, a tap coil, so it's obviously... it can vary quite a bit.
Right.
And it's got a little light bulb. You tune that for maximum brightness, and when you talk, that flashes.
Had you loaded up your antennas then?
It just because it's 50 ohms out, it plugs into my coax going to the main tenors, which is about 50 ohms.
Fair enough. And out of interest, what you end up paying for it?
$10.
That's not too bad. You couldn't build it for that.
I probably would have bought it myself.
Look, I saw it in a box. It didn't look that impressive, and I thought it would be one of these AM boat emitters that puts out about 5 watts of distorted bad missions.
Yeah, it's like the radio I've got. It works, but a lot of problems. So I'll probably have to wait till I get to the west before I try and fix it up. But some of those old marine radios. Was the receiver tunable or receiver fixed?
The receiver was fixed, but I've built a little VFO so I can tune across 160 with the. I've taken out the crystal selector switch and built a little VFO in there, which is quite adequate for AM.
So and you listen to territory radios with it.
It doesn't. It covers about 1750 up to about 2 megs. Doesn't quite go. Because 2.3 is quite a bit further, but the actual receiver. I plug my big tenors in. It doesn't pick up any. It doesn't spugalise or make funny, the 3MP or anything. It goes quite well.
That was the one you were running when you were talking to me when I was on.
That's right.
Yes, well, you could have reasonable.
Yeah, if I hadn't been on the big emitters, it would have been interesting to know how it worked.
Oh, yeah, you would have been quite good. Eric's 3AX's missions AM qualities doesn't sound all that good.
His AM is crap quality.
Yeah, it sounds like he must be running a sideband radio.
Yeah, he's got sheds and sheds full of AM emitters, but he's going to modify them and use them, but he never does. He just keeps using Eric. He just keeps using the sideband Stort emitters. It keeps turning itself off.
Very nice audio. That's Drew.
Drew has done a marvellous job.
He's got beautiful audio.
He's got a very nice transmitter, and it sounds really good.
He's got a very good quality audio.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
from Wonga Park. So it's a fair haul to hear from there, but he comes through pretty well.
Yeah, what's the audio quality like for my 706?
Well, because... Look, I'll probably be able to tell from Mentone, but you're normally... Well, Phillip Island, it just sounded like an A, nothing spectacular, just not too distorted, but not fire or anything.
Yeah, communication quality.
Yeah, which is what...
I'm just using the hand mic.
Yeah,
well, look, when I operate from Mentone on Monday, there should be bulk strong. Yeah, well, from Corangamite, yourself, Eric, Drew was a bit down in signal. Wasn't too bad.
It was further away.
KRH was good signal.
Yeah, he's got a good mission signal, yes.
And some of the others, I could hear them, but gee, they were way down the noise.
Well, it's only a few that have got decent signals. I think the rest, it's nothing to do with their power, just they've got bad antennas.
Yeah, I think even my 14-foot helical will probably get out better than some of those guys.
It would, yeah. They're using, horizontal wires and things that just don't work. I mean, you tell them 100 times what works on 160, but they seem to be prefer to keep using what
probably loading up 80-metre dipoles and things. I mean, you probably have to load them up at the signals down, is way down.
Yeah, look, they might work okay at night, but not in the day.
Well, actually, DDAOQ used to use an 80-metre dipole with everything shorted together as a T for 160. That works.
That works if the configuration of your antenna is adequate, like it looks like a T. But if your 80-metre dipole's 20 foot off the ground and
then
the feed,
there's not much vertical section to radiate.
Yep, and the feed line is 60 feet running down the sideway off along the fence. It doesn't work too well.
No, it wouldn't.
Yeah.
I might try and get a reasonable vertical up when I get to the west.
Yeah, that'd be.
I reckon we should. Could be interesting to have some contacts. I see if I can hear your missions.
You'd hear. I think you'd hear 80. Well, Peter Parker's heard the missions strong, but heard them in the west. Drew came through better apparently.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the 80-metre would get through.
Yeah, I'll probably have to come back to you on 80 or something.
Yeah.
If I can hear your missions.
Yeah.
So we could have a crossband that way.
Or I don't know what other band you could use would work that path at night.
20 might be alright sometimes, I don't know, or maybe 10 megs or something.
Yeah, they're very...
Drew just used that 20-foot top-loaded thing he published in AR not so long ago?
He's got two antennas. He's got a night antenna, which is basically an inverted L, I think, and he uses that vertical one for daytime use.
Yeah,
and the daytime antenna is stronger here than the other one.
Yeah,
but the other one works better.
Fairly easy antennas to make too.
Oh yeah, the nighttime one's better in the obviously in the night. He's stronger than I am at night in interstate on 160 with that.
Yeah, it would be.
Would have been good if the branch was still on down with that with that tower you used to have.
Yeah, well, he pulled the tower down, of course.
I think it was rusting away, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be good to put up antennas like that, but nowadays most councils would probably prevent you from doing that.
Well, I think they probably would have then, but they probably didn't care about it. It's been there for so long, they just thought it was part of the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go down Glen Ira Road, wasn't it?
I remember when the branch, when I first heard the
and
branch,
you'd see it.
He had the really big
top hat.
hat.
Mm.
Then that fell a bit, and he put a smaller one. But I remember one time, I don't think I was licensed. I was up past Kilmore on the way to Turbrak, and I had a transistor portable. And I heard it was the middle of the day, and the branch was quite strong. But I couldn't. I think it was talking to the late 3GK, where I could hear and a couple of other guys. There's no sign of the other guys at the middle of the day, but the branch was it was quite strong at the middle of the day past Kilmore.
He was well. I don't think a signal like that has ever been emulated on 160 in Melbourne since.
Well, I first heard him when I was in Box Hill. I thought he was in Box Hill.
Yeah, he was an amazing signal. Yeah, I'd like to get something like that, but I don't.
I remember one time 3GK. I met him.
I think you'd have to buy a bit of rural land just outside Melbourne now to get away with putting that up, I think.
Yes, probably you would.
I don't think you'd get away with putting it up in Elsternwick or Kew or Hawthorne. Like when I was a little kid, there were a few tenors and things like that still up from the days of when people used to broadcast on the broadcast band.
That's right, yes.
They're gone now.
Yeah.
I don't even think you get away with those. They were smaller than the branches tenors.
That's right, yes, all regulations now.
There's a tower in Box Hill I could possibly get for nothing, but of course, getting over to the west, it probably wouldn't be cost effective.
Get something local.
Yeah, I think so I'll probably find a probably windmill
tower, yeah. Or oil rig tower or something like that.
Oh, I should be able to find something.
And I don't think they'd
have
care.
an insulated tower that was 260 feet high, because that would be a half wave or so.
Yeah, and I don't think the council there would be too worried of what you had
Yeah,
up.
it shouldn't be. I don't know. There's no high trees to throw up dipoles and things.
I mean, people would have high TV antennas there, wouldn't they?
No, there's a local
repeater.
repeater, the Channel 7, just north of town. It doesn't run much power. I think it runs 40 watts or something.
Yeah, some of the country places have really big towers just for their TV antennas, and you could get one of those.
Look, I'm sure if you shop around, there'll be somewhere in the local facility.
I'm sure there would be. Get something anyway. I mean, I've got masting I could put up for various antennas. I certainly get something, even windmill tower or something. Probably get it dirt cheap or something anyway. It shouldn't be. Just got to shop around there. I know that I could get the tower from Box Hill. It's it's a tilt over wind tower, but it's made of steam pipe.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be able to get it over to the west cheap. It wouldn't be worth it.
No, it wouldn't. Well, gentlemen, it is 3:20. I think I will close down.
Righto, well, I think I'll say morning. Good to talk to everybody, and I might see you on Monday afternoon.
And you still owe me a CD, you were there request.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Well, give Tings on Monday, and we'll see if we're around. I don't know what's been organised, but that should be fine.
Well, if I ring you up about lunchtime or something.
Oh, yep, that's any time.
Yeah, Mr. Wigg, have a listen on the AM net on Monday, 1843. I'll be operating portable from Mentone, and I was going to go portable today, but I had a good sleep in. I only heard Drew and Eric. I think there might have been someone else on.
Yeah, there are a couple of others, I think.
Anyway, Mr. Egg, have a listen.
Okay, we'll catch you later on.
Yeah, have a listen Monday at 11 o'clock.
I'll see what I'm doing then. I may be able to. At the normal 11 o'clock time?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll see if I can pick you up with a transistor radio or something, because, it depends on which QTH I'm at, whether I'm at the...
you should hear me.
QTH,
You should hear me, all right.
ESQ one, although the ESQ one, I still haven't got any proper tenors up for HF since I ripped them all down to do the shed project, which it's got a roof on it now, but I still need to do more work on it to get it working.
I also heard that someone was saying it was in the news or something, Dave, that some of my test missions.
I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard it myself, but someone was saying, had an email from the EMDRC saying, I just want to know how it went on down at Phillip Island, and said I had a mention or something on the WA News.
All right, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about it, but I downloaded the latest, the VicNet news, but there was nothing mentioned on that. So I don't know, but anyway, Monday, Mentone, and Anzac Day. It will be Port Arlington.
Okay, well, I hope I'm around and to be able to at least listen to it and see how it comes through. Okay, guys, it's been really good night as usual, and we'll see you, hear you later on.
Righto, we say morning.
I'll say morning.
We'll catch you later on.
Cheerio.
See ya.
Cheerio.